Punching Up, a Nintendo podcast, is brought to you by you. If you want to learn how to support our show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to episode 36 of Punching Up, Last Stand Media's bi-weekly Nintendo podcast. I am your host this week, filling in for Dustin until he gets back, Brad Ellis. And joining me, of course, are the two staples of Punching Up, Gene Park. First of all, Gene, how you doing?
Good. Just reeling from the news of the PlayStation 5 Pro. I don't know.
Pricey.
I'm actually writing a piece on it, so I'm talking to my editor right now about it. But I don't know. I guess we can talk about initial reactions later. But yeah, that's really what's on top of mind right now. I was really mostly looking forward to the Mark Cerny presentation. So for folks who don't know, Mark Cerny is a longtime PlayStation employee and widely known as kind of like the lead architect of at least PS3, PSP, PS Vita, definitely PS4 and PS5. So I was hoping for like a nice long presentation for him where he just like talks about like the teraflops and blah blah blah. He does a very good ASMR type presentation. But I was hoping the video was 19 minutes. So I was hoping the video was going to be a nice long 19-minute video, something to fall asleep to. But it turned out to be much shorter than that. He just talked about how we can see the background more clear, and that's going to be $700.
Yeah, I think it was 9 minutes for the whole thing.
Yeah.
It was very brief. Yeah. Very brief. But yeah, we'll talk about it in a second. But first, Micah, how are you doing? How was San Diego? We're back. You're back.
Yeah, that's right. Show. San Diego. When did you guys come back?
Yeah, so we were very short trip. We got there Thursday. We came home on Saturday. It was fantastic. I really enjoyed getting to explore the city and everything. Getting to try new food spots, of course, was a huge highlight for me. And of course, seeing the gang. It was really great to see Brad and everybody in person. Gene, we missed having you there, but it's so rare for us to have everyone together. I realized as we're all sitting around, at like dinner one night, that the only two people who live near each other is Dustin and Ben, right? Like nobody else is really close by each other. Like you and Chris are kind of
I'm like an hour and a half from him.
Yeah, whereas like Dustin and Ben live in the same city, so they're close. The only ones who are really close by. Because it just highlights that if we all lived near each other, we'd probably like be hanging out, But the reality is we're just so scattered across the country. But it was awesome. It was a really fun weekend, and I hope to go back to California sometime. It was my first trip there since I was a kid, so it was really cool to be back.
Yeah, I felt so bad because we were in the middle of a heat wave. The hottest it's been all year is right when all you guys came to town.
Oh, exactly.
So
yeah, that's our luck.
I know. At least like kind of near the ocean a little bit, but still. So you got some of that breeze, but still, it was unfortunate. But I'm glad everyone had a good time. Everyone was in good spirits. I'm happy we all got to go to dinner and then go out after that. That was fun. Colin, man, how many old fashions did he have that night? Like 5?
I think the count was 4, but
okay.
Him and Ramon were having a good time. We ended up like getting back to the hotel, and he orders, some DoorDash McDonald's, right? And he kept asking me, he's like, "Would you like some chicken nuggets?" And I was like, "No, thank you. It's 2 a.m, right?" I'm like, "No, thank you." And then he goes, like 5 minutes later, he's like, "Do you want some of these nuggets?" I'm like, "No, thank you. I'm all good."
That's
and
funny.
Then a couple minutes later, he goes, "There are many nuggets here if you want one." I was just like, I don't.
How many nuggets did you order that he was just chomping away at them, and there were still more nuggets for him to offer to you?
Yeah, did you get like 20 or something?
Was it a 20-piece box or something, or what?
Yeah, it was just a 10-piece nugget, but he was eating them very leisurely. Sort of like have one here, check Twitter, ask if I'd like one, have another. And so it was like, every time he had one, though, he's like, would you like one? And I was like cracking up.
That's funny.
I don't.
Yeah, that's awesome. Trip is cool. I finally got to meet Maddie in person. I think he was the last one I haven't met in person, so it was good. It was very nice. He's very tall as well.
Yes.
I think about the same height as me. Maybe I'm slightly taller than him, but it's cool. It was great to meet everyone again.
7'8".
7'8", that's right. We're giants. Play basketball on the side. But yeah, it was a good trip. Thanks to everyone that came out. It was a lot of fun. Thank you guys. We appreciate it. All right, Gene, we talked about this just a little bit. Or you did, but the PS5 Pro was just revealed. I know this is a Nintendo podcast, but I got to gauge everyone's interest on this thing right now. It was revealed. 700 smackaroos. No disk drive. No stand. Initial thoughts, Gene, as you're writing to your editor about it.
Yeah, hold on. Initial thoughts. Yeah, you know what? I expected $700. This was not surprising to me, only because from what I can tell within the industry, the video game industry wants to charge us more money. Sony especially wants to charge us more money. They think that they're offering us way more than they're charging. So I do believe, as shocking as it looks, I do believe Sony believes that the $700 is reasonable, right? I will say, it would be. I would be defending it more loudly as reasonable if it came with a disk drive.
Right, I think so too.
Yeah. Without the stand, sure, why not? I think that without the stand is like another layer of insult. But it's not that important, right? You can give us the little flimsy the little flimsy stand that the PS5 Slim come to, but without a disk drive at $700, that is harder to defend.
Yeah, that's a hard pill to swallow for sure.
Yeah. Otherwise, it probably sounds good, but if you already own a PS5, I don't think a $700 upgrade is worth it. Right?
Yeah, it just depends on what you want. Like,
yeah,
I'm gonna buy it. It's expensive as fuck, but I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah, I'm gonna get it too. Because I'm a Sony enthusiast. I'm a video game enthusiast. Right. I like PlayStation.
We're the target audience for this.
Yeah, we are. Folks like Colin. Colin's gonna buy it. I saw my boy Broken Games HDR. He's like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna buy it too." I'm like, "Yeah, we're PlayStation fans. We would want this." Yeah. I want a PS5 Slim, because I still don't have one, and I think I like the way they look, and I think it'll just be fun to own. But it's still $500. So it's like, wow, I'm waiting for that to drop in price at least to maybe like $350. Then maybe I'll probably get one just for fun, just have an extra one. But I guess I'll probably have to prioritize getting the Pro. I'll probably get it from Sony for free.
I was gonna say, hopefully you get one from them.
I'm sure I'll get one as a review unit. So Sony's been really, really good about sending me hardware. I got the PS Portal. I got the Astrobot controller. They just sent that to me. And they sent me the console, and they sent me a PS5 Slim too. So I have almost no doubt that I'll get the Pro, and I'll be able to
very nice
talk about it. So this doesn't really affect me, but if I didn't have one, I would still want one, and I would definitely get one around when Grand Theft Auto 6 releases.
Oh yeah,
absolutely, totally, because that would still be the best place to play Grand Theft Auto 6. And at that point, I would want the best version of Grand Theft Auto 6, and that would be it will be on the PS5.
Yeah. Michael, obviously Colin's going to buy one, but how are you feeling about this? As someone that doesn't really even play on PlayStation that much.
Yeah, I mean, the price was startling. This was just a reminder, though, that gaming is a bit of a luxury hobby. Gaming is not really a cheap hobby by any means. And it's like, unless you are someone who is content with like, I'm going to buy something like Baldur's Gate 3 and spend hundreds of hours with it, buy another game and spend hundreds of hours with it, and maybe only buy a few games over the course of a year. Gaming, the way that we do it, is not an affordable hobby, unfortunately. And this just really drove that home of like, this is a luxury item at that cost no disk drive. They didn't even throw in the little stand. Like, yeah, for someone like myself, casual PlayStation enjoyer might play like just the exclusives is all I'm really going to check out on PlayStation. Even then, not all of them appeal to me. This is certainly not for me. This is definitely not an item that I would be purchasing if I didn't live in a household with someone who plays PlayStation for a living, basically, because
Right.
it's just, and aside from that, just these like, oh, the graphical upgrades and all that stuff. And like, I'm the one who's always saying I can't see it. So
Yeah.
for me, this is a complete no, I wouldn't buy that. But if Nintendo was like, we're coming out with a Switch Pro and it's $700, even then I'd be like, I don't know. My day
Sure.
one Switch is still chugging. I don't know if I need this. So it just
Yeah.
is like, for me, that price is fucking crazy.
Yeah. I love it, Micah. Like, it seems like you just don't give a fuck about any of that kind of stuff, and I think that's great. Like, you just have had a scratch on your Switch, like a big old ass scratch on it forever on the screen, and that's all you play on it, and you're just like, whatever. I'll just wait. It's so good. I
Yeah.
love it.
I mean, between that and like the dead pixel in my 3DS, that I'm just like, well, whatever. It's just you just gotta deal with it.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. I would be furious if I had a dead pixel on my 3DS. I did on a DS, and I got so mad.
Oh yeah, a dead pixel would drive me crazy. A dead pixel on my TV, I would just throw the whole TV out, and I've done that before. There was a dead pixel on my TV, and I'm just like, this TV is done. I can't look at it anymore. I can't watch anything anymore because all I can see is that dead pixel.
Oh, see, I have now forgotten. I've forgotten where it is at this point. Like it'd been a while since I played my 3DS, and we'll talk about that a bit more later. But I honestly, like, I know it's there somewhere, but I keep looking for it. I'm like, it's here somewhere, but I just like the game I'm playing right now doesn't have a lot of darkness, so it's just showing up. Like depending on the game, you see it constantly, or you hardly see it at all. Dragon Quest VIII is so bright and colorful that it's like I can't find the one like light spot.
Yeah.
So it's like I've just completely forgotten about it, and it's not bothering me anymore. But I know at some point I'm going to notice it, and then it's just going to be like honed in on it. Like there it is.
Yeah. Just quickly, my thoughts about the Pro. Yeah, $700 is a fuck ton of money. That's a lot of money. If it came with a hard drive, I think it'd be a much easier pill to swallow. Still expensive though, but yeah, this is definitely a thing for enthusiasts, hardcore fan base. And it's getting dunked on right now, which is very funny to me. Like totally justifiable. I think they showed some games, which is cool. Older games, nothing new yet. Hopefully they'll do that at the end of the month when the pre-order dates. What's the pre-order dates? Like the 26th or the 27th. So I'm hoping that's when there'll be a state of play where they show some new games, but I don't know right now.
Death Stranding 2. Death Stranding 2 is the PS5 Pro show horse, I guess. Whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a hard sell for, I would say, 95% of people out there. I
have a question to play devil's advocate.
Sure.
For people who think $700 is too much. An iPhone 15 is $999. And I think we would all agree that the PS5, even in general, is a better video game device than the iPhone, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, why Apple can release phones every year at $1,000 now, but we bought at $700. I'm just playing devil's advocate. This is not something I actually believe in or something like that, because I believe because at the other hand, phones are a lot more valuable than a video game console, right?
Yes.
And you think about how much time you spend on the phone versus your console, it's probably a lot more.
But that's a good point.
I mean, yeah, right. I mean, the console that does bring a lot of value, and it does do a lot of shit that the phone can't do, even though you don't use it every day like we do on the phone. So
yeah. I mean, for me personally, when I say the price is crazy, I don't mean that it's not worth it. Like, I'm sure you add up the price of the internals, whatever, and you'll get to a ballpark where you're like, okay, this is an appropriate price. I say crazy because I personally feel like the PS5 is just still a great console, and I definitely don't need the upgrade myself. So I'm like, that price for me is too high because I don't need the upgrade. I'm very content with the current PlayStation 5 and like format and everything. I also have a cracked iPhone SE because I don't buy the most expensive iPhone. Because I'm like, that price is crazy. $1,000 phone? Are you nuts? I want to carry $1,000 around in my pocket all day? No thanks. I get the cheapest phone they make.
Whatever devil's advocacy I was doing, it was definitely not directed at you, Micah. You were definitely outside this. You were outside this thought experiment for sure.
I am with you though. I will definitely say, like, I'm not saying the price is unreasonable. Like, this thing costs $100 to make and they're charging us $700. I don't mean that, but like, yeah,
Right.
I am the person who's like,
Yeah.
It's not for me at that price point. I don't
You're
have
right,
the value
Micah,
for that.
because we already own a PS5, right?
Yeah.
So where does the $700 value come in when I'm going to play the exact same games just fine, probably, you know? And I probably would have if this PS5 Pro never existed. So,
But now,
that's where the value proposition starts to get really, really low. It's like, I think if you don't own a PS5, then this is probably a great first PS5 to own, right?
sure. I feel like if you don't own a PS5 already, though, you probably don't care that much about.
You probably really don't give a shit.
You probably really don't give a shit. You'll buy it just a normal PS5 when GTA comes out or whatever, or the digital version.
That's
something
true,
like that.
because GTA won't be out on PC, yeah. So
yeah, it's for freaks like us, Gene. That's what it's for, and we're fine with that. Like when I saw they were doing Rebirth, getting enhancements, I was like, well, that sealed it, no matter what for me. So we're clowns, but that's okay. Just gotta buy and enjoy.
Tell me I got to see Colin play that game again. Is this
Yes.
what you're telling me?
No, he won't. He doesn't play games. He won't play it again.
He won't play that game again. That's for sure. Sadly,
No, he won't.
Yeah, it was way too much for him. For a checklist game guy.
Yeah, for his brain. Yeah,
it was
for his OCD brain. Yeah, no way.
Yeah, it definitely put that checklist brain to the max. And Final Fantasy VII Rebirth won. You know, it won.
Yeah. It is funny. We were talking about Apple right there. I saw John, I think his last name's Linneman from Digital Foundry, talking about Apple Mac Pro wheels kit. And I thought it was a joke, but then I looked it up and they're real. 4 wheels for $700.
Oh my God.
That's crazy. But that's where Sony wants. That's where Sony wants to be.
I know.
You know,
that is where Sony wants to be. Absolutely.
That is where Sony wants to be. That is where Sony wants to be. You know, Sony wants to be Apple and Nintendo. They want the IP. They're complaining about not having IP, and they also want lots and lots of luxury money.
Yeah. I don't know. It's fucking crazy. But yeah, we'll see how PS5
me too.
unfolds.
I want to be Apple too, dude. You know?
Oh yeah, of course.
I want to sell fucking wheels for $700. Are you fucking? Are you out of your mind? Wheels?
Yeah, it's fucking crazy here.
The wheel was like the first thing invented by man. This isn't even the best thing is just sliced bread. This is like before. This predates sliced bread.
Yeah, it's fucking insane, dude. How crazy Apple is. But they're like, people eat it up, dude. People love Apple, so that's where Sony wants to get to at some point. Maybe they will if something's just expensive with Sony. People will just be like, oh, whatever, it's Sony. That's just the way things are. But I think that's what they're counting on. Yeah, because I have an Apple AirTag keychain, and that was like what $70, and it's just a keychain basically. I've never really used it because I've never really lost my keys, but I got it just in case, and I spent all that money just for that crap. You know? Yeah, it's fucking crazy. This got me thinking though. Switch 2 price. What are we thinking? I'm thinking it's gonna be $500. What do you guys think?
I mean, I'm thinking around there. Yeah.
450, 400. I can't see it being lower than 400.
No.
Well, it could be, but I'll be disappointed if it's lower than 400 because that means it sucks ass. So.
Then that means it's like two switches taped together. Just like the fucking Wii was 2 GameCubes taped together. Oh man, yeah, you're right. Yeah, if it's less than $400, then it's like, did you guys even do anything? This is like, yeah, I don't see it going any lower than $400. But Nintendo must be breathing really, really easy right now because pretty much any price that they said, even at $500, a $500 handheld, that's comparable to Steam Deck.
Yeah.
First that market price is already out there, and two, the PS5 Pro's sticker price is fresh, and that's just going to make any price for the Switch 2 look just fine. Unless it's also $700 for some reason, which I highly doubt.
That'd be insane. That would get me actually hyped, Gene, if it was $700. Because I'd be like, oh my god, it might not be a piece of shit in like a year.
They're like, yo, we're gonna get a Mario game that looks like Astrobot. That's crazy.
Yeah, holy shit. Yeah. Games will probably be $70 too by then for all of them. I know Tears of the Kingdom was, but
Tears of the Kingdom was $70.
Yeah, I could see all the games being $70. All right, but that's enough about Sony. Let's talk about Nintendo games. Just quickly, dude, weird week for Nintendo news. Not a whole lot going on. So we're going to do our best here, but luckily Gene's here to save the day with a couple things. But first, Ender Magnolia got a release date. This was a Metroidvania. Ender Lilies. This is the sequel, Ender Lilies. A Metroidvania that came out a couple years ago, I think. Really cool Metroidvania. I played through it. I really liked it. But now it's getting a launch date. The sequel, Magnolia, arrives on Switch January 23rd, 2025. I'm excited about this game. Gene, what about you? I know you like some Metroidvanias. No?
I never heard of this, so...
Oh, okay.
Let me make sure I mute that.
This is a smaller game.
Oh, this was cool. Yeah, totally. I'm into the vibe. The art style looks great. It immediately looks better than Hollow Knight, so I'm into it. I don't like Hollow Knight's art style.
That's totally fine.
Yeah. So for me, I'm like, oh, it doesn't look anything like Hollow Knight. Awesome, I'm in.
Yeah.
I have a lot of sympathy for everyone who waiting for Silk Song. Because I do know Hollow Knight is a good game, but I just don't like the way it looks. And Ender Magnolia is definitely more my speed. I like the animation, the little boy. Is that a boy? Girl? Whatever.
It might be a girl. In the first game it was a girl. I don't know if it's the same girl as the first game, but I'm not sure. It could be a boy.
No, you even get mounts and everything too. Yeah, it looks like a girl, but boy should have. Dope. Yeah. I'll check this out.
Cool. Yeah. First one was great.
Oh, January 2025. Yeah, I'll check out the first one probably then now too.
Yeah. First one's worth the play. Yeah. Micah, what about you? Are you interested in this? Actually, I don't even really know if you like Metroidvanias. I forgot.
Yeah,
it's probably no.
I watched Colin play Ender Lilies though, and it was a fun game to watch. I enjoy watching him play those type of games, but as we've discussed, when you pull up the map and it's like the Microsoft like pipe screensaver, and it's like the pipes going.
That's right.
I can't do it.
I remember this now.
It just boggles my mind. But I enjoyed watching him play that one. It had some really neat enemies. The visuals, like it was a really pretty game to look at. So it was a perfect game for me to kick back and watch him play. But it's not something I'm interested in. But I am excited for him to play it because I am excited to watch it again. It had a cool little story going on. Like it's a game that if you enjoy those, even I would recommend it because Colin had so much fun with it. And I can see the appeal, but it's not my style of game at all.
Yeah,
I will say that I'm kind of tired of Metroidvanias. I think. There's so many. There's so many that's been come out over the years. It is not a recent phenomenon. It's just been over the last 10 years, and I feel like I've had my fill of them. Mostly because I'm playing. I still haven't finished Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. It's a game that I've probably talked about the most on this podcast, but I just haven't finished it. I think it's a really, really good game. I just don't want to play it because I'm just tired of Metroidvanias. I'm tired of running around and getting the double jump and finding the secret to bounce off walls and blah blah blah. Do that.
Yeah,
fun genre. And I'll get back to it soon, right? I'm just kind of burnt out on it right now.
Yeah. I mean, that's like me with Wukong. Like, great game. I'm just not in the mood to play more of it right now. Just not really feeling it at this moment. But it's like I love Souls-likes and everything.
Yeah, that was me at the beginning of Wukong, especially if it's so close after Erdtree. I was like, I don't know if I'm really in the mood for this. So
yeah, I'll probably go back someday, but just right now, not ready for it.
Yeah, I am playing Wukong, and we can talk about that during the.
Sure. Yeah, we'll talk about
what we're playing
when we get to what we're playing and all that good shit. All right, this one I thought was funny. So let's see, I forgot his name. The head Sonic guy. He did an interview with VGC. Let me just pull up on my thing. And they were talking about Chow Garden, essentially the Chow Garden things. People always want the Chow Gardens. Those are from the Sonic Adventure games back on Dreamcast and GameCube. PC also, I think, for Sonic 1. But anyways, people are always wanting back. And he's essentially saying, Izuka, that's his name, that no, it's not coming back anytime soon. No Chow Gardens, so you guys could stop asking for a bit. He says they are essentially linked with Sonic Adventure, so he doesn't want to do a standalone game. If they do Sonic Adventure 3 down the line, which he said he's open to, but it's just no plans for right now, they will do Chow Gardens. But for now, no Chow Gardens, no Sonic Frontiers 2 Chow Gardens with you. Sorry about that, everybody. Gene, what do you think about this? I know you're into Sonic a little bit.
Yeah, I am. I don't know if I count myself as among those people who are demanding for a return for Chow Garden, but I definitely did play the hell out of Chow Garden in the original Sonic Adventure games, and I think that's why any plans for a Sonic Adventure 3 would be hugely anticipated. I don't know why I enjoyed Chow Garden. But I completed it. I played the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know why I did it. I don't know what the reward was. I know why I did the Choco breeding in FF7, the original. It was to get Knights on the Round summon, right? You get a genuine reward for that. I don't know what you get out of Chow Garden. I think I just did it.
I don't remember either.
Yeah, I don't remember how you do it. I don't remember anything about the game. I just remember that it was strangely addictive, and I just kind of blanked. I just blacked out, and then by the time I was done, I was just like, oh, I guess I did the whole thing.
Man.
I must have been an amazing time, but I don't know.
That's awesome. Micah, first of all, have you played the Sonic Adventure games?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Because I believe you said the second one's the one with the Halloween section.
Yeah.
That's the
Pumpkin
one
Hill.
I played.
Is it because of Game Grumps you played it?
No. This was before Game Grumps. This was in high school. A friend gave me their old GameCube with a couple games for it.
Nice.
And that was one of them. So
nice.
This article infuriates me. This is bullshit. You could do this. You can have a Chow game. Like, there really is just no reason not to. Like, how are you going to tell me that you can't make like some Animal Crossing-esque type game? Like, this is just terrible. I really don't understand how they could say that they can't do this.
Yeah. It's not a standalone. Yeah, he's like, it's not a standalone game. It's integrated to the whole Adventure series gameplay. So we can't just break it off and make it a thing. And so it's like, all right, well, if you're asking for Chow Garden in Adventure 3, that's pretty much asking for Adventure 3. So yeah, they're firm on that stance, Micah. It'll break the Sonic lore, I guess, or something. I'm not really sure what's going on with that, but
it's just like, that's crazy, because you really could picture it just being such an easy cash grab. Like, just do it, make it the Chows live in the, you can like revamp it a little bit. I understand saying it's not exactly a standalone game as it is, but you could totally make Chow Town or something like that.
Chow Town.
Just it's exactly like, dude, I'm giving you these ideas, man. Like, this would be a slam dunk in the era of like, hey, Astrobot showing that, kid-friendly games can be fun for all ages, truly, and you're not just playing it kind of like, it's fine. Like, dude, this would be awesome. A ton of people with the nostalgia for it would be all over this. And it's also just easy family game, whatever. This is bogus. Just make the game, please.
Well, maybe one day when Sonic Adventure 3 comes out. I'll be honest, if they announced Sonic Adventure 3, that would be kind of hype.
I'd actually play it, yeah.
Yeah, I love making fun of Sonic, but I'd play the shit out of that game. I loved Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. I had good times with those games. I haven't played them in a long time, though, so they probably suck now, but back in the day, they were fun. I skipped over this question earlier. I meant to read it, but we'll just put it in right here. This is from Parks and Wrecked. Hello, Punching Up crew. Got a silly one today. If you could place your pets in one fictional Nintendo world, which would it be? Would they be the hero or the villain, or maybe even just a random NPC? Love to hear your scenarios. All right, Micah, you got 2 pups. Let's start with you. Where are your dogs going? Where are Rush and Trouble going?
Yeah, well, I want them to be safe, of course. So I'm going to pick a safe little place for them, which would be Animal Crossing. Okay. Treble would definitely be a villain. She's ruthless. You know, she's the one who she does really well in the stock market. Treble has a lot of money as the lore goes. So she'd be aligned, you know, either with like Tom Nook in some capacity. Maybe she'd be a real estate agent like Digby. Perhaps she would own her own store of some kind. So she wouldn't be a villain, but she would be like one of the ritzy type ladies,
right? Fancy,
like that lady that comes to town for like fashion advice or whatever. That she'd be ritzy. Rush would be living behind you like a dumpster somewhere. Rush is always out of money. His Raising Cane's isn't doing well. So, but Animal Crossing would be the choice only because they'd be perfectly safe in there. Aside from somebody like digging a pitfall outside of their house or whatever, it's like, they're going to be fine. I don't have to worry about them in there.
The worst thing that happens is they're going to get stung by a bee or something. That's about it, I guess.
And if that's the worst thing that can happen, that's a pretty good world.
Yeah, and they'll look adorable in that game.
Yes.
Gene, where's Jack going? What world are you putting Jack in?
Kirby, Dreamland or whatever. But I always look at Jack as a Kirby character. So
I like that. That's very cool.
And no one really dies in the Kirby world, so you'll be fine.
Well, they get eaten by Kirby, shot out as a star.
Yeah,
or absorbed into bloodstream.
Yeah, but maybe there's a live stream style circle of life, which hasn't been established in the Kirby world at all. So it could be
live stream. I like that. That sounds awesome.
It's funny to think of Final Fantasy VII as having a much more hopeful and optimistic and peaceful world than whatever Kirby's going through. But
yeah. Totally. That's awesome. Oh, guys, we're talking about expensive ass shit, wasting money. I wanted to just say that I wasted some money on this thing. I did my duty.
Ooh.
I was weak. I knew this was going to happen. I walked by the Lego store at my mall. And I saw it there.
That's half a PS5 Pro.
Almost half. Almost half. Yeah.
Mm.
And I was like, fuck. And I just dropped the money out. I had to get it.
How much was it again? 300 then?
$300. Got the Ocarina of Time one on there. But the good thing about our job... No, not yet. I'm going to build it on stream. But the good thing about our job is tax write-offs. So we always got that little glimmer for us. That's the good...
Yeah, like you're gonna, if you build it on stream, it's like recoup a little bit of that money.
That's the mentality you need to have as us. You got to be like, okay, a lot of money, but at least I can use it for work or something like that. So that's how we cope with it.
Absolutely. I mean, like even when my YouTube channel wasn't very big, it's like, well, it makes a couple $100 a year. That's paying for some games. Mm-hmm. It's like for this much effort and, this much time, it's making a few $100. That paid for a few games. And like you just justify it that way. Like, oh, those don't count. No, those don't count at all.
That's what we got to tell ourselves. All right, Gene, I'm very curious about this. You got to have some hands-on with the Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom in New York City, I believe. I'm very jealous, but tell us about it, dude. How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I think I played about an hour and a half of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. I did 45 minutes of the intro section, so I didn't even see the opening cutscene, but it starts off with Zelda in jail, and she meets Tri, the little Triforce wand. And then what begins is the escape from the dungeon, much like Link to the Past. But instead of a Link to the Past like action sequence, it is more of a stealth sequence. Where Zelda is obviously defenseless. She has no way to attack, but she has Tri, and this is where you learn the Tri powers. So for folks who don't know, Echoes of Wisdom is about using Tri, the magic wand, Tri wand, to create copies or quote unquote echoes of things. And that's how you either attack or solve puzzles. And so during this dungeon, this is where you get to create copies of beds. And there are guards basically patrolling around, and you copy beds or tables or chairs to create stacks of it to climb over the soldiers. The fun thing, though, is that this tutorial area already shows how many different ways. There's going to be ways to solve basically any situation immediately from the very first encounter where there's a guard kind of spinning around. You can use tables to like go around him, or you can just solid sneak around him, just sneak past him. So the game is very open like that, and you can use basically anything to climb over things. Once you finish the tutorial, it's going to show you the physics of things. Also, like when you have a bed, it can go over the edge, and you can have another bed over the edge, so that way you can build like a bridge of beds that kind of goes along. That's kind of stacked on top of each other. That's kind of going a little angular because they're stacked. But you can do that. And then you leave the area, and then you're still in a tutorial area outside, where Hyrule is being quote unquote stolen away. Parts of Hyrule are being split off into this dark world type of world where things are basically being stolen away, and there are cracks in the world, and that's how the game is able to guide you towards a path along the beach, where you're going to be having more tutorials this time to learn how to defeat enemies and create copy enemies. So basically, Zelda is a summoner. She can summon enemies to attack for her. One of the most useful enemies that I found in my playtime was the rope. So rope is definitely another word to call that they call snake. But the cool thing about the snake summon is that it's basically a missile. She casts it, and the snake will shoot out like a gun. So it's basically like she has a snake gun. So that's how I beat one of the bosses. I just cornered the boss, and I just started blasting it in the face with snakes, and died. Or I could have summoned moblins, and here's how they balance the summoning powers. There are a limited number of tries that will dangle behind Zelda, and at the beginning of the game, there's 3 tries. So each each summon will cost a certain number of tries to summon. So the snakes cost 1 try. So I can send out 3 snakes or 3 bullets at the same time, and they'll be like heat-seeking missiles. Or I can summon a snake to shoot out and 1 moblin, which takes up 2 tries. And the moblin will be casting spears. You can hold the L trigger to actually Z-target enemies. So you want the enemy to for example, you want the moblin to target a certain enemy, then you Z target them with L trigger, and then the moblin also has their own attack pattern. The spear throwing ones will actually like try to get distance between themselves and the target. So you actually have to account for that. They might actually walk into a pit, or they might just be walking themselves in the corner. But you Z target using that, and then you use the D-pad to bring up the echoes menu. So you bring up the whole list of things that you can summon. So it works a lot like Tears of the Kingdom. Remember when in Tears of the Kingdom you have all your, even in Breath of the Wild you have all your equipments and stuff like that. Instead of equipment, you'll have basically different objects. And the great thing is that you can sort these objects by most used, last used, by type. So that can be helpful, especially when you're in dungeon and there is a certain echo or copy ability that you need lots of, and that would be really helpful. And then the rest of the play time was through a dungeon and a little bit in the open world, which they didn't really let me explore about. Okay. But there were some areas I found. There were secret caves, and the caves in past Zelda games or in even any other game, these caves will have like a treasure chest, right? As a reward, or a heart container or heart piece, right? In Echoes of the Wisdom, these caves will just have enemies, and the enemies are the reward because you're trying to copy their ability. So there are going to be caves or areas where there is just a unique thing that and that's the only thing that it's there for. And you're going to go there to get that copy ability to maybe unlock a copy, a treasure or solve a puzzle in another area. So it's going to be very, very open-ended in that regard. And then I played through the first dungeon. It sounds like a lot. It sounds like I played through a lot, but I played through the first dungeon, which was interesting. It had the bind ability. So confusing. She has so many fucking powers, but she can bind herself to like a floating platform, So she will mimic the movement of that platform or
Oh.
whatever object that she's binding herself to. So that introduces another layer of like puzzle solving and like puzzles where you're either moving objects by bounding to them, and then the objects are moving along to her movement. So sometimes you have to bound something, and then you make Zelda jump so you can make that thing go up onto like a button or something that's on a higher ledge. So you really got to think about the 3D space of things. For example, if there's a big wall that you have to get over, right? You can obviously create like a tower of beds to climb up, or you can summon a spider, and a spider will create a web that goes up, and you can just climb up the web. So little things like that will really make you feel like that this is kind of like Breath of the Wild, but for Zelda.
Yeah.
And much like Tears of the Kingdom, I was forgetting a lot of the controls. Brad, I don't know, you probably remember this, but there were many times in Tears of the Kingdom where you probably forgot that the ascend ability exists, and you're like, oh, I could just like pop through the roof,
Yeah, I think a couple times for sure.
Yeah, and it's like, oh yeah, that's obviously the way to solve the puzzle, just popping through the roof. And it's like, oh yeah, no, I have this ability, or oh yeah, I'm supposed to bind this or bind that. And the last ability you get, I think, in the game, because I think the game is going to be structured like Breath of the Wild, and then you get all the abilities at the beginning of the game. The last ability you get is a sword fighter mode, where Zelda will get a limited magic meter, and that can replenish by breaking pots and killing enemies. But she can turn into Link, basically, for a short amount of time. And she has all of Link's movesets, including the spin attack, the sword, the shield, the jump attacks, everything. But it's her in the tunic, basically.
I saw this. Was it like it's like a blue form? Is that what it is? It's like a blue, like Guiji looking kind of thing. It's like a blue Linky kind of thing.
It's Zuigi, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got that dampness to her now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, Gene, you did one dungeon. Did they say if it's going to be in a more linear fashion how you tackle them, or is it kind of?
No, it's going to be very, very open ended.
Okay.
It's very linear. You do the tutorial area and you do the dungeon, and then think of that as like your Great Plateau or the Sky Islands at the beginning of Tears of the Kingdom. Once you get out of there, then it's basically you have free run of the whole world. You can go to any dungeon you want, find different echoes, and those echoes will probably get you access into different dungeons. So I don't know how difficulty will be scaling, but it definitely is going to be more open ended, not linear.
Excellent.
So it's like Link Between Worlds. Link Between Worlds is turning out to be the most influential Zelda game.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, like even in Zelda 1, you could go out of order in a lot of times.
Yeah, Zelda 1 obviously is the first one, yeah, but yeah.
But yeah, I see what you're saying, totally. Link Between Worlds kind of like started that new trend, I guess, for modern Zelda.
Yeah, the modern trend, yeah.
Yeah. Micah, how are you feeling about this? What are your thoughts?
Oh, this all sounds fantastic. And I'm glad you mentioned, Gene, the system of like having a few tries to like limited tries to do things, because on the surface, you do look at this and say, is it going to be too easy with how just open-ended it is? Is it going to be too easy when it's like you can just kind of copy and conjure up like whatever you want? How, where's the challenge come into this? Aside from like some of the puzzles, like, yeah, they're going to be more complex than what they showed us. And what you've said definitely confirms that, of the idea of having it so like, okay, she's walking around, you tie the object to copy her, so when she jumps, the object will jump into place, hit a button. That type of thing, really cool. The idea of having her mimic an object that's in motion is neat. So everything you've said has me more excited for this game. And as someone who typically isn't into puzzle games, I'm really hyped for how I don't know how many different ways the puzzles can be solved, basically, while also still having that level of challenge, as you mentioned, with the tries being limited. Because even I look at that and say, I mean, I want it to be simple enough that I can figure it out. I want it to be simple enough that I don't lose my patience, but I don't want to feel like I'm playing a 5-year-old's game and just being like, look how good I am at this. Right?
No.
Like that's not the
Yeah.
feeling that I want either. So this sounds like it's really well balanced and like it's going to be even more fun than I had already anticipated. I haven't pre-ordered this yet. I'm just waiting till we're a little bit closer, but I'm definitely getting this.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, I'm
Cool.
very
Yeah.
excited for it.
I'm excited for Micah's first Zelda game, maybe, right?
Yeah,
In a
I
while?
mean, technically I tried Twilight Princess. Technically I tried that. I got so sick of the monkeys in the beginning. I got filtered out very quickly. I was like, this sucks. What are
The
you having me
monkeys.
do this for?
Mm.
And I said, if the whole game's going to be this type of nonsense, I don't want it. So Zelda and I have a complicated relationship, but
Aw,
this time I'm going to be there for her.
I like the Forest Temple monkeys.
Me too.
That was good. That was
Me
a good
too.
ass temple.
Yeah,
The Twilight Princess has really good.
It has really good
dungeons.
dungeons. Yeah, really good.
So good temples.
Damn.
Ah.
Well, we got her in at least to try it, so that's good.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
good.
no. I think I was thinking about you, Micah, when I was playing, because I was like, man, because I think about you a lot when I play puzzle games, because I'm like, man, I wonder if this is a game that Micah would be interested in, and I do think that this probably is a lot easier for you, not easier, but just a lot more appealing for you than Tears of the Kingdom, which is like, oh, just try anything and make a robot or whatever like that. And it's like
Right.
Echoes is like, no, here's the rules, and we can play around the rules, but this is how you play around with it.
No, absolutely. Because I enjoy the occasional puzzle game. I can't remember what it was called on PlayStation 5. Was it called The Pathless or something? There's a game
Yeah,
where
it's
some girl,
Pathless.
she got like a bird. Okay.
Mhm.
I played all of that. I liked that game a lot, actually. I own it on disc. I really liked that game and thought it
Mhm.
was a great deal of fun. I'm just not a patient gamer. I don't enjoy things that are like my least favorite puzzles in that game were the ones where you had to just be very quick. Like you couldn't make a 1 second hesitation or mistake, or you would have to start the puzzle over again. And I did complete the game. I really liked it enough to do so. But it's like I could play these games, but I just don't, as you said, Gene, it's the appeal. I just don't have the patience. It's much like Souls games to me. I'm not a patient gamer. I don't want to throw myself at a boss for an hour until you finally get it. Like, it's just not my style. I also don't want to grind endlessly until the boss is easy. It's just not the way I like to play games. So this really does feel, at least from the preview details you've given us and the trailers we've seen, this feels like a puzzle game that even I could enjoy, like the Pathless, because of how open it is and because of the options it gives you. Because I do enjoy a brain scratching puzzle every now and then. I'm just not patient. I enjoy more like the jumble in the newspaper is more my speed, right? You're talking puzzles. Okay, that's more my speed of, unjumble the words, fine. Otherwise, though, it's just like, do I want to spend an hour doing this? No. No, I'll spend 15 minutes on the newspaper puzzle and be done with it.
And the puzzles that I ran into in Echoes, it really feels like, hey, this enemy or this echo is nearby, or this item is nearby, so here is a lantern that you can copy, so you might need this fire to later on in dungeon for blah blah blah. So it's still going to have that very like Zelda logic, Zelda video game logic to it too.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a limit, Gene, on like how many things you can have copied, or is it like she can just have like a million things in her encyclopedia and you call it back whenever you want?
That's kind of the most enticing thing. I think there is no limit. I think that there is going to be a completionist where she is able to, you find every single thing in the world that you can copy, and I think that she's going to have like hundreds of things that she can copy.
That's really
Endgame
cool.
Zelda will be a beast of a summoner. She'll be like copying like, all kinds of furniture and monsters, and I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited to imagine, and also that magic meter that turns her into the sword fighter. It can level up. It's level 1 in the beginning.
Oh.
So yeah, she can just be a raging beastly sword master for probably a pretty long time by the end of the game, if not infinite.
Mhm.
That'd be amazing. But yeah, and that's how the boss battle itself was interesting, because there were different ways that you can tackle it. there was a weak spot, and what I did was I cast bind to the weak spot, and I started moving Zelda away from it to make the weak spot kind of pull out. And then once I pulled that out and broke apart the boss, then I turned into a sword fighter, and then I just started slashing away like it's a regular Zelda game, you know.
Excellent.
So like the boss battle itself was kind of paced like a lot like a regular Zelda boss battle, because you know in Zelda boss battles you're not really like sword fighting the whole time, cling 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 whatever. You're usually kind of avoiding things and reading the pattern until you figure out when's a good time to strike. That's exactly how that boss battle was in Echoes of Wisdom. So but there's so many different ways. The way to get the sword fighter mode, you actually have to wait. Can I talk about that? Yeah, I can talk about it. Okay, I won't spoil who you fight.
Don't
but
risk.
You
don't risk it.
Yeah. But you do have to fight somebody, and that person has a shield. And the cool thing is that you have to use your summons to kind of like circumvent that. You have to like you have to figure out like, oh, can I summon something behind them? And then that person's gonna look behind, and then there's like a Solid Snake type of like level design where you can try to ambush them from behind. So you don't even have to use summons. You can just use the sword fighter mode and just try to like stab them in the back or something too. So
yeah, cool, man. Sounds awesome. Yeah. I'm looking forward to see where they put this in the timeline whatever they do, because that's always fun for me. Zelda timeline
I actually asked about the timeline, and all I got was laughter. So.
Yeah, they probably rolled their eyes. Yeah. This is Grezzo doing it. Is that correct?
It is Grezzo. And as far as regarding the timeline question, I don't know. I think this is a new timeline again. The Hyrule. The cool thing about the Hyrule map is that it's very fog of war. You don't know what the rest of the world looks like. You get a hand-drawn version of Hyrule, and it looks vaguely familiar with Death Mountain at the top and the desert at the bottom left, just like Link to the Past, just like the Hyrule that we always know. But there's like different shit there. There's like I went into a town that I've never seen it. That's never before seen in Hyrule before. It was called Southern Town.
Okay, cool.
There's never been a Southern Town in Zelda before, so this is a whole new town, new buildings, new race, and possibly new races, but new people for sure. New dungeons and new castles. So, really excited to see what this Hyrule looks like, and maybe we'll see what kind of timeline this is. But this also feels like I think in the beginning, Link and Zelda don't really know each other either. Because Zelda is like, yeah, that swordsman tried to save me, but he got fucked up. So I don't know what's going on.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So yeah, this is not a timeline where Zelda and Link seem to be intimately familiar with each other at all. In fact, I think they barely knew each other. But Zelda only wants to save Link because he was nice enough to try to save her, and he failed. So
yeah, that's nice. All right, cool. That's coming out. What is it? The 26th, I think.
So soon. Oh my god.
16 days from now, from when we're recording. So very soon.
Oh my god.
A little over 2 weeks.
Let me see if I have the review code yet. I'm supposed to be getting one soon.
Well, if you do have it, don't tell us, because you won't be able to, or you should not.
I would not be able to, no.
Don't say that.
Yeah.
Gene, though, we need to talk more about what you played. You also played Mario Party Jamboree.
I did. Yeah, this is the latest Mario Party. I actually have IG or Polygon's review up right now, because I remember less of this, or preview up. But I actually played Mario Party with former Kotaku editor and now GameFile newsletter writer Stephen Totillo, which is fun, and someone from Fox News, and some guy I had no idea who he was. So we were the Super Mario Party. It's all new boards for the most part. 7 new boards. 7 boards. New creations: Roland Raceway, Goomba Lagoon, King Bowser's Keep, and Rainbow Galleria. And classic boards: Rainbow Castle from Mario Party 1 and Western Land from Mario Party 2. New character Pauline, my girl Pauline, Mayor Pauline of New Donk City.
Oh, nice.
She's in there. I did see a chatter that it'd be nice to have a girl that isn't just wearing an evening gown or a dress the whole time, which I actually can relate to. That it'd be cool to see Peach or Rosalina or Pauline, or especially Pauline, because she's like the mayor. So she should just be wearing
Sure.
like a pantsuit or something, But she's wearing her.
When you said
door.
relate to, I was like, wait, do people expect you to wear a nightgown or a dress every time you go somewhere, like dressed up like that? I was like, that's pretty funny.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's a Mario Party. You can be a little casual.
Yeah, you should be casual Mario Party.
Yeah.
You're gonna get fucked up.
Wario is just letting it all hang out. So why
his
not?
gut's hanging out.
Yeah. So let Pauline, let a titty out or something.
Slip out.
I don't know where I was. Yeah, slip a nip or whatever. But you get Pauline. The cool thing though is that you get there is a new mode called Coupathlon, and this is an online mode for 20 players.
Wow.
And that's where like kind of like the battle royale sense of Mario Party comes in, where it's all online, or you can play with bots too if you don't have that many people. If you only have four people locally like we did, you can go against bots, and there'll be massive games where it's kind of like Fall Guys actually, where there'll be obstacle courses where you're trying to survive certain things, and then there's other mini games. The most popular mini game was trying to cut a steak by exactly 50%. So they show you a piece of steak, and you and the other player have a saw, and you have to control like which side. So you have to coordinate which side you're going to, and you're like, okay, I'm on this side, and okay, you will go on that side. Okay, that looks like 50%. Okay, press A, and then you cut the steak, and then the game will evaluate which team did it better. And then there's other games like memorization games and reflex games. There's one game where they're cooking something, so you're like a supply line where one person is in the factory, one person is in the packaging, and then one person is in the distribution line. And then so you kind of divide up certain activities that way, and you have to work as a team. And then there is a Bowser Kaboom Squad, which is an awesome mode where in between these mini games, you have to fight Bowser that's trampling across like a town. And this town is going to be a persistent stage, and Bowser has like a big life meter that you're eventually whittling down after minigame by grabbing these bombs and loading them up in the cannons to fire at Bowser. But while all the while Bowser's chasing people and attacking people and trying to burn them. You can also have deployables like you can launch to help certain characters move faster, or hit to make Bowser confused, or get more coins or whatever. I'm forgetting all the rules. Mario Party, you have to get stars and coins and shit like that, but then get more coins. But it's it's cool because this is like a huge battle sequence that persists throughout, and all the deployables, like for example, like speed traps or whatever, or speed boosters that you lay on the map will actually continue throughout that one kind of big match of games. So even after you finish a mini game and you get back out, that booster or the health pack that you put in earlier is still going to be there. It's hilarious to mention this because persistent deployables was one of the key features of Concord. That was one of the key marketing features where they're like, well, you can deploy things like jump boosters and health packs, and they will stay persistent throughout your match.
Yeah.
And here it is. It's just a nameless feature in Mario Party in one of its modes, one of its many modes.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Mario Party, probably going to sell a lot more than Concord. Probably going to have a lot more players than Concord. Is also a lot more fun than Concord.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you how would you compare this to other Mario Parties? Are you feeling very good about this one? To me, Mario Party's been like very high highs, but some really low lows. The last one, what was it? Superstar, I think it was called, was really fun. Mm-hmm. How are you feeling about this one?
So the reason why I didn't write a preview for this one is because I am not a Mario Party player. I haven't played Mario Party since maybe the early 2000s. Maybe 2006 was the last time I really played one. So I'm not a good judge of how Mario Party has been, but from what I can tell, there's a lot of new shit here, and from what I can tell, usually when Mario Party just has a lot of new stuff, and this one seems to largely stick to the classic formula, then I think this will be a winner. I do think the 20-person Koopathalogs and the Koopa Bomb Squad thing, the Bowser Bomb Squad thing that I was just describing, those are all fun. Like, I'm really looking forward to doing those again with people.
Cool. Yeah, I'll keep an eye on this one. I am a Mario Party enthusiast. Lots of good memories playing this game or those games. So I'll keep an eye out on this one. Micah, what about you? Are you interested?
Yeah, our group had fun. We were laughing. We were like, "What the hell are you doing?" It felt like a party game. It felt like a good party game. So,
Micah, what about you?
Yeah, I love Mario Party. I just don't have anyone to play it with, right?
You can play online.
I'm a big Mario Party person. I've always loved Mario Party. I remember though, as you mentioned, the lows when they introduced the car, for example. It's like, what the hell are we doing that we're all moving together on the spaces? That was weird. I still played it a lot because it was there and it was something to do.
Oh, really? Wow, they did that. Yeah, this is definitely not. They do not have that idea here. It is all different spaces. Yes.
Exactly. I loved like Mario Party, playing Mario Party with a group of people who are drunk and or inebriated in other fashions. Fantastic. One of the best experiences you can have. So I do really like Mario Party. I didn't play Superstars just because I just don't have anyone who's interested in playing it with me. So I'm excited for this on the surface of, oh, it's great to see a new Mario Party that looks pretty good. But I'm probably not going to buy it. I don't think I'm going to get Colin to play Mario Party with me.
No.
But I am excited for the other enthusiasts out there who get to enjoy it.
Yeah, I'll buy this actually. I think I'll play it online.
Nice. Yeah.
I'll play like an online game.
I was gonna say, Micah, you should just play with the Discord or something. I'm sure there's tons of people that want to play.
That's true, because the thing about Mario Party, like Mario Kart, for example, you can play Mario Kart with random people and it's perfectly acceptable. But the thing about Mario Party is that it gets personal. Okay. It gets personal when you steal somebody's star, and it's supposed to be. Like, it really adds to the enjoyment of the game when it's like you're betraying your best friend right now because they're about to win. You're going to steal their star or whatever it is. Like, you're about to hit them with the nasty candy that you bought from the store and it's going to like send Bowser their way. Like, it gets personal. Mario Kart can as well, of course. Like, your best friend's in first place. You hit him with a blue shell. But it's a racing game at its core. It's just a little bit simpler. But Mario Party really is, it's like that gets fucking personal when you play it, and it's best played with people you at least know. So you're right, if they had an online feature, perhaps get a game spun up with some friends that way, but it would not be the same to play with just randoms, because it's like no, this game is life or death.
Yeah, I love Mario Party. Yeah, like you said, very personal, brutal times, but also hilarious. So it's really good.
Dude, there's nothing better than I just remember, I have a lot of great memories about Mario Party in college. Friend of mine, he would just make the worst decisions. He would spend all his money at the candy store. He'd spend all his money buying, like, in the various iterations. Like, he would always just buy items. Okay, every turn he had, if there was an opportunity to buy something, instead of buying the star, he'd buy items. But at the end, he ended up winning because he ended up getting the star for walking the most. He ended up getting the star for most items bought.
Oh,
and
man.
It really was. It's like, this game is such a bastard. And it doesn't matter how you play it. It doesn't matter what your strategy is. Like, some wacko can just come from behind and just win the whole thing. So it really is. That's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be very zany and you don't know what's going to happen type game. That really adds to the charm of it. It's why the car just didn't work, because it's a board game like Monopoly, and we're all in a car together and we're all just paying rent at the same place. Like, the misfortune should be distributed randomly. We shouldn't all be landing on the Bowser space together. We shouldn't all be landing here together. It just doesn't work. It was a weird idea. I'm going to harp on the car until the day I die, because it was one of the weirdest things they ever did.
Please do. Yeah. Mario Party went through a dark period then. So, yeah, it was bad. It was bad.
it is fun to think about how Mario Party could easily be Nintendo's live service still, right?
Yeah.
You could easily just like, oh, this is just forever online, and we're just going to be filtering out different boards every few seasons. And here's season 4. Here's a new board. Here are new characters.
Yeah.
But they're not doing that. They're just like,
No, they never will do it. I feel like, Gene. They love just making a new game.
I think they just want to make new games. I think
they just want to make new ones.
I think, you know, here you got Sony and Microsoft being like, how do we make more money off of our multiplayer game? And Nintendo's like, we'll just make another one, and then you buy it. So we made another one, and then so just buy another one. That's how we make money, and that's how you get more game.
Yeah, dude.
Very simple. Very simple.
Yeah. These maps look awesome, though. By the way, the Rainbow Galleria looks incredible. It's like a Toad Mall.
Yeah, the mall. Yeah, the mall looks cool. We didn't get to play that one. We got to play the Wiggler map. Okay. There's a big old Wiggler in the middle.
Yeah,
and you can activate it, and the Wiggler will wiggle around and move around, and it can move around with players on it, which will
cool.
Again, add to that level of chaos that Micah loves. Imagine if you're all in a car on the Wiggler at the same time. That sucks, you know.
Yeah.
But
he's got spaces.
But having a friend on a Wiggler and then you're the one moving him around, that's awesome. That's fun. Mm-hmm. That's real engagement. You know?
Yeah, Roland Raceway looks like a Mario Kart track. Like, that's cool. Running around that. Goomba Lagoon looks very jolly. Always gotta have a beach level. And of course, King Bowser's Keep. You gotta have a Bowser level every time. You gotta do it. Let's see. This game comes out October 17th. So also coming up. Nintendo's cooking. They got games cooking right now. But yeah, looks awesome. Gene, thank you for checking those out, giving us content on this slow news time for Nintendo.
It's slow, but Nintendo is also getting the best news cycle because they're just not doing anything. Because you know, Xbox can't help themselves. You know, we got Phil Spencer saying, you know, I don't know what a good game is. You know,
I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, I've made horrible decisions. Yeah.
Did you see? I saw Jordan Miller actually put out there in public that he thinks that Phil Spencer is going to retire soon.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah. But he thinks that announcement is imminent sooner or later.
Interesting. Yeah, it seems like he's lost a lot of power. So
yeah, he lost a lot of power, and he is talking like, you know, like he's on his way out, talking about his legacy and shit like that, you know, and saying stuff like, I don't know what a good game is, you know, like that's basically what he was saying. He's like, yeah, I passed on a lot of good games, and it's like, yeah, you sure fucking did. Like,
yeah, you sure did, Phil.
You know, and then we give Sony all kinds of crap, but the only thing they fucked up on was Demon Souls. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. That is true.
And yeah, Nintendo slow week, but they're just chugging along.
They're doing just fine.
They're doing just fine. They're about to release a multiplayer game that's going to sell millions. It's going to make boatloads of money, and that's a problem that Microsoft and Sony are still trying to solve. So
that's true. All right. I just thought this was funny. Do you guys? They're from Super Mario Wonder, the talking flowers that they're adding. You remember you run by and they'd be like, hey, go over here, Mario. Mm-hmm. They're making a plush of this now, of this flower. And what's so funny about this plush that I've seen this video of it, it's all in Japanese. I want the Japanese flower plush that speaks or whatever. I want this shit. It goes, hello. Like, that is, you squeeze it, I think it makes sound. That's so good. I want to buy this thing. Micah, what about you? Are you going to buy this?
Oh,
this seems weird as fuck, so it's right up your alley.
It is so creepy. They gave it an actual hole for a mouth. Like, I know, I don't want this thing in my house. The Wonder Flower, very cute. But this thing that looks like, I don't know. I don't know, but I don't want this. I don't want this in my house. Like, no, this is a no from me, dog. Like, if they made the flower just a regular plush, it didn't have a big hole in it, I'd be like, okay, this is fine. But this thing,
so it's really the hole that's doing it for you.
It's bothering me greatly because
Is it like those popcorn buckets, like the Doom popcorn bucket?
Yeah, I was
Exactly.
gonna say you could put
Different
snacks in
energy.
it though. You could put Cheez-Its in there or something.
You
Mhm.
put something in it. Yeah.
You
No,
could put your dog's food in there and have them eat out of it.
Yeah, that's you could put a hot dog in its mouth. That'd be really funny, actually. Or I have like a plush candy corn. I could like shove that right in its
Oh
craw.
yeah.
I don't know. This thing is creeping me out. I already didn't really love the flowers. Like Dustin and I, we all talked about that when the game was released. Of like the flowers were kind of borderline for us. Of like it's kind of cute at first, and then you're just like shut up, shut up, shut up. So I didn't have a great love for the talking flower anyways, and now this presentation of it makes me very uncomfortable.
Well, Dustin not liking the flower. I think the flower's cool, but I understand that. But Dustin also doesn't like Yuffie, so who cares what that man thinks? He's out of his mind.
Oh, Yuffie, the weird girl from Final Fantasy, that
The
thing?
weird girl. That thing? Oh,
She had
Micah.
like the I didn't like her very much either.
Micah,
No, I thought she
come
was
on.
strange.
Come on, well, Micah, you're fucking weird, so who cares also? Talking about putting hot dogs in the flower's mouth and shit.
Well,
Fucking-
what do you want me to say,
you're a
Brad? You want me to
fucking
say what I'm
pervert.
really thinking?
Yes. So you could. The world needs to know what a freak you are, Micah. Well, they kind of do, but it goes deeper, everybody. It goes deep. All right, guys. Let's just talk about real quick what we've been playing. Well, not real quick. What we've been playing. Micah, I want to start with you.
Yes. Yeah. I'm still playing Dragon Quest VIII, partly because, so you guys know, I was super stoked on that demo for Emio, the Smiling Man. Like that,
Yes.
it sold me on the game. I was not going to buy that game. I played the demo. I still was like, I'm not sure how I feel about this. And as soon as the demo ended, I was like, that can't be the end. I need to see this through. So they sold me on it, right? I pre-ordered it. I still haven't gotten my copy because Target oversold their pre-orders. It is arriving tomorrow. This was a whole debacle of I get a notification from Target that it was back ordered. And I was like, geez, what am I going to do? Amazon, it was sold out at the time. I don't know
What
if that's
about
been
Best Buy?
resolved or not.
Do you have one by you?
No.
Fuck.
So I checked. GameStop had it in stock online, but I would have had to pay $7 shipping. Same with the Nintendo store. So,
Okay.
but knowing they both had it in stock, I wasn't too worried about it. So I said, I'm going to give Target a week to ship this out. And they did. So
Okay.
I'm getting it tomorrow. So I'm really excited for that. But I was disappointed because I was excited to have it in time to talk about it here. I had really wanted it in time for our flight. That would have been perfect, but
Yeah.
didn't end up working out that way. If you haven't played it yet, the demo should now have, I believe, 3 chapters available because they released the demo in pieces. So when I picked up the demo, there were 2 chapters available. The 3rd chapter came out a few days later. I didn't play it though because I did just want to wait for the game. I was like, no more teases, okay? Like I just want to jump right back in. But I'm waiting for that to arrive and I'm going to, hop into that. It's going to be the perfect kind of like bedtime game just to like wind down the evening because visual novels are excellent for that anyways. And then this just has a little extra interaction, but I highly recommend the demo if you're on the fence about this game. It'll either sell you or not, but it sold me. And otherwise, I'm still working on Dragon Quest VIII on 3DS. I took a few days off for our trip, basically. I was really anxious about the trip. I brought my 3DS on the plane, but I was so anxious the whole flight, I couldn't focus on it. And I ended up just doing nothing, really, because I have a real phobia of flying. And the whole time I'm on the plane, I'm just waiting to die. Like every rattle of the plane, I'm waiting for the window to fly off and for me to get like sucked out of it. Like every moment until we were on the ground. And even then I'm still afraid until we're like stopped. I'm just waiting to die, basically. And it's a little hard to focus on Dragon Quest when you feel that way. So I didn't do much gaming over the period of our trip, but coming back home was really great to get back into it. I am at the section where you're at the Abbey. So I'm still relatively early
yeah,
in
you're
the
still
game.
pretty early.
Yeah, but I'm at the Abbey. we're gonna go fight some dude. I don't want to spoil it. It's old, but I still want to spoil it for people.
It's early in the
But
game, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I have now my third party member, Jessica. I don't think that's a spoiler to say she's on the box. So
yes.
I have her. I've had her in the party. It's nice to have 3 people, but you were right, Brad, because I was like, oh, you get a third party member, these battles will feel a little more balanced. And you were like, just wait. And it's true that now they just throw more enemies at you. So now that I have 3 people, they're consistently giving me like 5 enemies at a clip. And some of the enemies call for backup type deal.
Oh my God, yeah. When they call for backup, you're like, fuck. Oh,
right.
So brutal.
So the game is maintaining a consistent level of challenge, which I appreciate because at least so far, it is minimizing how much grinding I have to do because it's giving you these battles that take enough time and give you enough enemies that you are leveling up at a good pace. So at least so far, I have not really had to spend, an hour running around fighting enemies simply because I reached the door and I can't fight this guy and I have to go back. As of right now, just walking down these paths and fighting everybody along the way, they call for backup, which lengthens the battle. That's been consistently enough for me to be on pace and be the right level. So I'm enjoying that design. It is a little frustrating in the moment. You're like, no, don't call more enemies over here, but it is working. It is effective and it's getting me to where I need to be level wise. And the story still has me. So I'm really enjoying the game. I'm really excited to get Emio tomorrow. Like I have been so hyped to get back into it because your demo, gameplay carries over. And I think I will do that. I don't think I did anything catastrophically wrong during the demo that I would want to reload all that gameplay. So I really appreciate when games do that. I don't always. Like for Octopath Traveler, for example, I started that game fresh after the demo, but I didn't play the whole thing. I think the demo let you play for something like 3 hours, and I might have played for 45 minutes just to get a taste of it back then because I didn't want to experience too much of the game. I just wanted to know if I liked it enough to buy it. That's usually how I approach demos. Do I like it enough to buy it? This was a rare exception where I actually played through the whole demo and was surprised at myself for doing so because usually I just want to get a taste and make a decision without seeing too much. So I'm so fucking hyped for Emio, and tomorrow I'm gonna be jumping into that for sure.
Cool. I'm really happy to hear you're enjoying Dragon Quest still, though. I love that game.
Yeah,
I was thinking about the difficulty, and I'm like, oh man, it's so much easier now, though, and probably so much better because you can see the enemies on the map now.
Yes.
Like when you're talking, like in Dragon Quest 8 on PS2, it's like you're talking about enemies calling for backup, but essentially going in blind and just getting random encounters and just getting fucked over by like 8 guys, and running away is off like not super reliable in that game. So it's like you can get fucked over big time in that game.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of random encounters in games. I much prefer games like this where you can see the enemies at least on the map, even if you can't always outrun them. I feel like with random encounters, it just always feels like I just need to take like one more step and I would have been away from it type deal. And it just frustrates me.
I get that.
There's just something about the unexpectedness of it that I'm just like, but this is much more my style, to just be able to anticipate that the enemy is there. And also, like you said, just being able to, you see the guys 10 feet ahead of you, well, heal right now. Okay, like if this looks like an enemy that you're not going to be able to just walk by, then like heal up so you don't get caught with your pants down.
Right.
But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. And I love the variety of enemies and the variety of abilities they have. It's keeping the battles like very fresh. I'm only in, this like what, I don't know, 5th or 6th new area basically, but there are more new enemies and they have different abilities than the previous ones. And it's just still really fresh is this the best word for it? Subway, Eat Dragon Quest. It's still just keeping me really engaged in the game because it's throwing all these things at me that I'm having to anticipate. Like, okay, well, this new enemy will always call for backup. I gotta really try and get that guy knocked out as quick as possible. And if I can't do it, I need to be prepared that it's gonna be a longer battle. So the game is just consistently throwing more and more things at you, but in a way that's interesting. It doesn't feel unfair at all. It just feels like they're keeping my interest level, at its highest.
Nice. What weapons are you going with everybody?
So for my main guy, Barrel, I switch between the boomerang and the sword for him.
Okay.
Like the boomerang, like if I get a bunch of like weak slime enemies, for example, like boomerang, and then usually they only need like one more hit. For Yangus, he has an axe right now. And then Jessica has a whip. It kind of sucks, but she has started to learn some spells now. So
Yeah.
she can cast fire. So we're getting better. I definitely need a better weapon for her. I was just too lazy to travel back to like another town and buy something.
Yeah.
But yeah, the boomerang is really cool. I love the ability to attack like everybody at once and do like lower level damage, but just hit everyone across the board. That's totally my style for games.
Yeah, I think
so.
the whip does that too, doesn't it? For Jessica?
Yeah, she can hit. I don't know if it's weird because sometimes she hits like 3 people in a row. And
Okay.
I don't know if that's like the limit is like, can she only hit 3? Can she hit everybody? I'm not sure. She just doesn't always do it. And I'm not really doing anything differently. So I don't know what the difference is. But yeah, the whip can hit multiple people, but sometimes doesn't. And I'm not sure what I'm missing there. But the whip is pretty weak, but her ability, like she has a spell to reduce their defense, and that's huge.
The buffs are so huge and debuffs are so huge in that game.
Yeah. So that's her primary like focus is she, lowers people's defense if it's like a really tough enemy. And that's primarily how she's being utilized, or doling out healing items, for example, on her turns. So it's nice to have a third party member and have them be a little more dedicated to healing. She doesn't have a healing spell yet, which would be helpful, but we're getting there.
Yeah. Nice. Awesome. Very cool. All right. Gene, what about you, man? What have you been playing?
I've been playing Astrobot, obviously. I completed the platinum for Astrobot.
Nice.
Actually yesterday only. And I never completed the platinum for Astro's Playroom. I only ever beat that game. I just never bothered collecting anything in that. So I figured why not? So I did that. I did most of it. I haven't done the speedrun network tests where there's a trophy to get all your times under 7 minutes for the 8 stages, and I have not done that yet. I just figured I'd just relax a little bit and just enjoy the riches of having a full Astrobot cast in my hub world. I don't know. I had my review out for Astrobot yesterday. You can check it on WashingtonPost.com. I gave it 4 stars. What else to say about it that hasn't been said? I guess this is the first time on LSM any of us are talking about Astrobot.
Summertime we did. But,
okay, Summertime.
But none of you did. So say what you want.
Yeah, I mean, what else is there to say to Astrobot? I think it's one of the greatest platformer games of all time. I think it's better than some Mario games. I don't think it's better than all of them or the best ones. I think Mario Galaxy is still better. I think Mario 3D World might still be better too. And Mario 64 is obviously the most important one. It's probably top 5 most important video games of all time, honestly. And Astrobot is very, very derivative. So I will say I'll start with the low points of it. It is very derivative. Astrobot would not exist without Mario and a lot of Mario's ideas, and the game does kind of rehash a lot of Mario's ideas. And the other negative that I found is that the game does have these levels that tribute to other PlayStation games. And because 3 of those 5 levels are over the shoulder third-person cinematic adventure games, 3 of the levels feel a lot similar to each other. And I think that makes me feel sad about how not diverse PlayStation games have become, because there are 2 levels of other PlayStation games that are so much fun, and it's the kind of gameplay that we never see anymore, and PlayStation just doesn't make anymore. And it's like, oh my god, a real video game, as opposed to the camera's going to go to the left and slightly to the bottom, and then we're going to shoot in the center of the screen. And to Astrobot's credit, those levels are still fun because it's still fun to control Astrobot, and they still create interesting scenarios with what they
Yeah.
have.
They add unique. Well, I've only done one of those levels, but they add like a unique mechanic into
The
it,
God
which
of
I
War,
thought was really
the
cool.
God of War one. Yeah, and the
Like
God of
axe.
War one is easily the best one too, out of all
Okay.
three of them. So they do get worse
Damn.
as it goes along. But I say get worse, and I want to be clear. This is a fucking nitpick. I still like these levels a lot. This is me trying to find something negative about Astrobot, and that is the closest thing I can find to a negative thing. And I still think those levels are great. Even the one I like the least, I still think it's like the music is great. Astrobot looks cute as hell. The scenario that's there is pretty fun, even though it's very predictable. And I don't want to spoil what game it is and what games come later. But those are really the only flaws I have. Otherwise, I think it's a pretty much a perfect game. I do think that it's better than like Mario Sunshine, um, Mario 3D Land. I wasn't a huge fan of Galaxy 2. I think some levels are better than Galaxy 1, but I think Galaxy 1 is a more innovative one. So, I like it better than Galaxy 2 even.
Okay.
So yeah, one thing I'll say about Astrobot is that the one unique thing that Astrobot brings is the technology and fidelity of the PlayStation 5 and being like a next gen or current gen game. Like you see gameplay aspects that you don't see in Mario because the Switch simply isn't technologically capable of having it. You can't have like a million balls on screen and Mario can just jump around in it and stuff like that. Astrobot does that. It uses the physics and the simulation to make the platforming a lot more fun and a lot more intuitive. The controls are so good. The fact that there's only three buttons. There's jump button, there's attack button, and then there's a trigger button. Everything feels so good. It reminds you how good the DualSense haptics are, and how few studios are actually using it, even the first party studios. And the problem is because the first party studios are only making games where you're shooting guns and you're hitting things with swords. So the only feedback we get on the DualSense is cling, clang, cling, and that's it, right? Whereas in Astrobot, it's like, oh, here's how the DualSense will feel like if you were sitting on a cloud, or here's how the DualSense will feel like if you're running through a grass field or a field of flowers, or here's how the DualSense will feel like if you were being showered with a million acorns on your head, and how that would feel on your hands. I was watching someone on Twitch play it, and someone in chat had a very, very funny and gross but accurate thing to say about how it feels to play Astrobot. They called it controller blowjob. It feels like the gameplay controls, the design, the actions that's happening, and the haptic feedback that you're getting. It feels like the DualSense controller is giving your hand a blowjob. It feels good. It feels good. You're just like, oh, it
does feel good.
It feels like it fits though, right? Like it feels like
I'll be honest, I a thought like that never even crossed my mind though. I'm just like, oh man, this controller's sick. You can feel the raindrops.
As soon as I saw a controller blowjob, I was like, that's the feeling I'm feeling right now. I feel like the controller's giving me a blowjob.
Fucking wild, dude.
But on that note, that's how I feel about Astrobot. It feels like it's giving my hand a blowjob, and it's a nice feeling.
Dude, that's a back of the box quote right there.
I should have put that in the review too. But
you should have put
Unfortunately, the Washington Post has standards, not like Last Day Media. And I was going to apologize to Micah for saying something so crass, but Micah says off the wall shit all the time. So
this is her wheelhouse. Yeah.
No, I'm more so taken aback only because I was like, oh my god, it's just such a strange statement to make, such a bizarre statement to make. But I certainly take no offense to it. I've been enjoying watching Colin play Astrobot, And there was one level though I was making fun of because there's this voice singing in the background, but it sounds like Satan himself. There's like this really
the
deep,
tree,
scary.
What a tree.
I'm like, what the fuck
Get in
is
my mouth.
that?
Yeah,
Like,
he's just like
it's like you have Satan himself voice acting this game. I was like, everything otherwise is like cute, colorful, buoyant, and then you have like the dark prince singing to you in this one level. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, somebody shut that guy up. It was creeping me out because I'm trying to play my own game and I keep looking up like, are you in a scary level right now? And he's not. But I was just like, what is happening? These two like opposing things of like the very fun visuals and then this voice from hell was just like really throwing me for a loop. But it's been cool to watch him play it. There's like one section I watched where he was like climbing up this, I don't know, like ladder of bananas basically. And you're grabbing them like one at a time, these like bananas that are like on the side of a wall or something. And it's just very cute. It's really cute. It looks challenging enough to still entice older gamers. Of course, all the references thrown in primarily for the older gamers. And by older, I just mean people our age.
boomers.
It really is a cool game to see, them make. And you say, why aren't you doing more of these? Like, why don't you just keep making these, man? Like, I don't know what's the hold up here. These are great.
Yeah, this is the third one technically, I guess. But the first one was on PSVR, so not like no one played it, even though it was like the best PSVR game.
I played it. It was so good.
Yeah, it's fucking amazing. But yeah, stoked for Astrobot. I really like your little hub area, all the little bots running around and stuff, them hanging out, doing cute little things like you can get like the gotcha machine, you get all the accessories for them. You get like the box for Snake and he like hides under the box and you hit him and he's like looking at a dirty magazine or something. It has a lot of good touches like that, all that good shit. Like Psycho Mantis is like sitting on a TV with the controller there. You could turn it off just like Metal Gear. It's super good. And the Pikmin, they're like little Pikmin, they follow you around. You need a certain amount to do certain things. They like make a whistle too and they all run over there. It reminded me, Gene, of the Mario 128 tech demo.
Exactly.
I was like, oh shit, this is it. This is what Nintendo wanted.
I'm so glad you brought that up because it does feel like that this game is like the lost dream of Mario 128,
Yeah.
Mario 128 was a tech demo where they showed 128 Marios running around on the screen. And that was to show off the power of the GameCube, I believe, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And we were like, oh my god, think of the physics possibility, and then they released Sunshine, which is great, obviously, but
but
it wasn't Mario 128. So that's I'm so glad you brought that up because Astrobot really does feel like the dream of Mario 128 finally realized.
But Astrobot. I'm on like the third galaxy right now. It's fucking delightful. I love that game. It's super fun right now. I'm taking my sweet time playing it though, not rushing or anything like that. But it's a great ass game, and I'm always looking forward to see what weird things they throw at you in the levels. Oh yeah, also shout out to the boss fights. They're really good. Actually,
they're so good.
They're really good. So I've been very impressed with the game so far.
They're very epic. Parts of it almost feels like epic, like Nier Automata. I'm just like, oh my god, this giant
huge
boss
epic
this
boss
giant
fights.
Robot, you're fighting on the robots. Sometimes you're like, there's one level where you have your big brother giant robot, and that's amazing too. There's so much. There's so many neat surprises, and they do it where it's just every minute or so there's something new and something interesting, and it goes to show how game design has become so different. You look at a game like and good games too, like Ghost of Tsushima, right? Ghost of Tsushima, you're mostly just doing the same thing over and over again. You're just going to a bandit camp and you're parrying and attacking,
chopping some dudes up,
chop some dudes up and stealth some stuff up, and pick some stuff up or whatever. But add an item in most video games, you're just doing the same things over and over again. Whereas in Astrobot, you might be doing 5 different things in one level, and then you'll never do that stuff again. And that's exactly what Mario games are like, They just have a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
So it's incredible to see a game like Concord come out and fail because it had one idea. It only had one new idea. It was called the rivalry mode, and everyone fucking hated it. So it had one new idea, and it sucked. Hellblade 2 came out, and it had 0 new ideas. and here comes Astrobot, and it has like 5 or like at least 3 new ideas per level, and it has like 50 levels.
Yeah, it's good shit. I'll just talk briefly about this because I did on Summon Sign, but I've been replaying Ocarina.
I'm also real quick. I've also been playing Black Myth Wukong.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Really enjoying it now. We talked about it in Summon Sign, so I wanted to take this opportunity, especially with you, Brad, to correct myself. I did not give Black Myth Wukong its proper credit, and I misrepresented the game based on my impressions on the first 2 chapters. The level design is a lot more interesting, although I still think that it's fairly flat, and it's still pretty confusing. But these aren't so much. I still agree that this game doesn't have good level design, but it has good areas. This is a game with good areas. It's fun to ride around in. Do you know what happens in Chapter 6 of Wukong?
No, I was only in Chapter 3, I think.
Chapter 3, yeah. And
it's
Chapter
the
3,
snow one?
Yeah, Chapter 3 is a little tough, too, because that's where the level design was kind of getting irritating to me, because it's like really easy to get lost or whatever.
It is easy to get lost there, yeah.
Do you know that you ride a cloud in
I do know you do that, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you eventually do that, and that's just so much fun, and that's just something. It's a whole flying mount that you get, and I just really start to really appreciate the combat system. I do think that, and I tweeted about this. I wish the combat they created a combat system that was more unique. Because I still think it follows very much like the Dark Souls Neo type formula of centering the enemy and reading their attacks to dodge and attack, right? And it would be cool if they made a game that looked more like what the intro did, back and forth stick fighting, and obviously that's really like Sekiro, and it's like, yeah, a lot of games don't really copy Sekiro. We keep calling things like, oh, the parry is like Sekiro, but really it's not. Because Sekiro was really about the back and forth mechanics of the combat, not really about just parrying or whatever. The important part of Sekiro is that you're pushing back, and then the enemy is parrying you too. And we just don't get that anywhere, and we don't really get that here in Wukong either. Although the game kind of mimics that, and that's what I appreciate. I like how fast the combos are. I like this system of building up your focus, so you pop off with big focus attacks. It always feels good. I really start to enjoy the story now that I've been doing a lot more reading into Journey to the West. So I'm actually starting to respect what they did there, what they accomplished, and yeah, I don't know. I'm really starting to, especially after that Sacred Symbols Plus with Jaffe, where Jaffe and I really get into the nitty gritty of the combat design. That conversation, and again, I hadn't really completed the game up until that point, so it's still coming from a place of lack of information or appreciation for it. But that conversation did make me walk away with more appreciation for what the game is doing. It does feel a little bit more like God of War. But I would have liked the game to be more like itself, because that's where I think the game falls apart, and that so much of the conversation is, oh, is it like Dark Souls? Oh, is it like Devil May Cry? Oh, is it like God of War? As opposed to it just kind of being its own thing, and it clearly borrows from a lot of things, and it is kind of its own thing, and it does do a lot of really really unique things with its action. It's a lot more cinematic than your regular Souls game. So I've just been appreciating that, and the amount of secrets it has too. That's just been a lot of fun to uncover. I use guides to get the secret ending. So now with that knowledge in my head, I've been doing a second replay, and that's just been a lot more fun because now I know what to do. And suddenly, Black Myth Wukong has entered the territory of Dark Souls 1 or Resident Evil 2 remake territory of, oh, I know what I'm doing, and I'm just going to enjoy. I'm just going to do that and enjoy, going through the steps, going through the journey to the West, basically. You are the game is asking you to take certain steps to find the best ending, and it does kind of mirror a lot of what the book has to do. You have to accomplish certain tasks. So. Yeah, Black Myth Wukong. I'm sorry, I wasn't really familiar with your game, literally. I still think that the game is a solid like 7 or 7.5, but it's now in a solid 7.5, and now I can see that as being one of my more favorite games of the year.
Sure, yeah. I think it's a really great game. I just something about it right now is just not really clicking with me. I don't
totally
know.
Get that.
I'm just like not in the mood for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the difficulty is just kind of all over the place in that game. Where I can never get a feel for the difficulty in that game. Some bosses are fucking like jokes, and but one random enemy will be like really tough. I'm just like confused about some things, but I still think it's a great game. I do want to finish it someday, especially because there's so much more I have to go and I want to see it all.
There's a lot more, and the best parts come at the end, and that's why I wanted to replay it, because when I finished that final fight, oh my god, the final boss fight is probably the best final boss fight I've ever had in these type of games ever. I think better than anything FromSoft has ever had.
Wow.
So I was just like, if that final part was good, then maybe there was probably something I missed throughout the whole game, and that's why I'm replaying it. I'm just like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah, cool.
That Danny DeVito gif,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad to hear it. But yeah, like I was saying, I talked about this on Summon Sign more in depth, so I'll just talk about it very briefly. I've been replaying Ocarina of Time on my stream. Guess what? That game still holds the fuck up. It's still really good. The design is still excellent. Of course, it's very primitive in a lot of ways nowadays because it came out in 1998. But I still think a lot of the design is really well, especially the dungeons still hold up pretty surprisingly well, especially for their first attempt at 3D dungeons. Very impressive. Like I just did the Shadow Temple, and it's just really cool design, getting the Lens of Truth and using it to find hidden platforms and like hidden walls. There's also a part where there's like spinning blades that are invisible and you got to use it to see them. Really cool shit. Really funny boss too. Bongo. He's like these like chopped off hands and just smacks a bongo and you got to shoot his hands and shoot him in the eye. Really cool shit. Big Goron sword quest. Also really fun. Just doing a bunch of trade quests. There's it's pretty barren when you compare it to a lot of like newer Zeldas, especially even like Twilight Princess. But I still think everything it does is really solid. There's like not any fat really to the game at all. It's all just pretty lean and clean the entire way through. It's an excellent video game, in my opinion, still. Of course, the music, too. Fantastic, still iconic, in my opinion. Awesome game. Water Temple, still a little confusing. I still love it, though. But the 3DS kind of fixes some of those annoyances, I would say, especially with switching the boots. So easily.
Exactly.
It's very nice on there because otherwise you have to do the menu stuff like that. But
I think that's the only reason why the Water Temple sucked, honestly, because
it's a big part of it. So much. Yeah. It's a big part of it, but still one of the greatest games in my opinion. One of the highest rated games of all time. Awesome game. Check it out. It's on Switch. The online service if you have that, the N64 one, or there's the 3DS version of Ocarina of Time, which is also very good as well. So can't go wrong with either way. But yeah, Ocarina of Time still fucking sick. And I was playing Astrobot also with you got Gene. Awesome game so far. Really loving it. I'm going to be playing Space Marine 2 soon, so I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to just one more quick news thing. There was a new, just very brief Mario and Luigi Brothership trailer. It's called Greetings from Concordia. And I think this came out the same day that Concord shut down. So it was hilarious timing on Nintendo's part.
God.
Definitely not intentional, but it was really fucking funny. And I loved it that they put this out there. But yeah, it's just like a 30-second trailer. And it's just kind of showing the environments of the Mario and Luigi Brothership game. They're like very nice, typical environments you'd guess, like forest, desert. But they also show like this little quick town shot. These weird fucking, I don't know what the hell these little box head, square head boys are. I don't know what the hell they are. They got like weird. Do you guys remember the snorks? I think that's what they're called. Those water things in the ocean. I fucking hated those things. I hate them. But now they got those like snork, like little things on top of their head, dude. So that's immediately a turn off for me on the game. Dude, but they're just showing some of the environments.
Holy crap. And
it looks very jolly. They show like one power up. I like this idea of Mario and Luigi doing traversal stuff together. They like they're spinning around and they're like a UFO. Like Mario's the top of the UFO and Luigi's the bottom of it. It looks fucking awesome. Them just hovering over gaps. Looks great. I'm very curious about this game. I want to play it now that I have finished Paper Mario RPG, so people can not yell at me if I play a different Mario RPG game. They're like, well, you haven't played that one, so you should play that one. Well, I fucking have now. So now I can move on with my life. But it looks great. What do you guys think about this? This Mario and Luigi Brothership.
First of all, I just googled the Snorks, and I'm diving deep into the Wikipedia. The director of the first season of Snorks is also the director of the guy who made the famous A is for Adam 1953 mini documentary about the atom bomb. And
whoa, he made the atom bomb documentary, then the Snorks,
and then he made the Snorks like a decade later. What the fuck?
Good lord, Jesus. But yeah, are you guys gonna play this? Are you interested in it?
Yeah, I think I'll check this out. It's funny that you had that reaction, Brad, because I saw the little people. I thought they just looked like wall outlets. And
they do. Their faces look they look like wall outlets. You're right, but they got the snork thing sticking out of their head.
Yeah, no, I totally see it as soon as you said it. And the snorks too. What is that instrument that you see like online, and it looks like sometimes they're shaped like Kirby, sometimes it's shaped like Pusheen. It's called like an automaton or something. Like, you know, it's like shaped like a little music note almost, and like it makes a weird sound.
Oh god, I forgot that.
Those
the
are
14 music guy plays one. I forgot what it's fucking called, but yes, I do know what it's called.
Okay, yeah, that also reminds me of those. But no, this looks very cute. As you mentioned, some interesting little abilities, them crossing that gap and turning into like a little UFO. Some of the things like they're using like a seesaw to get across like to a different area. And the variety here of seeing all these different places. Like you said, yeah, it's familiar biomes, if you will, in Nintendo games, desert land, forest land, whatever. But it looks very enjoyable. I will be checking this out because it just looks like a great time.
Yeah, it looks really fun. What do you think, Gene?
Yeah, I have never been a huge Mario and RPG guy. I didn't play any of the Mario and Luigi games.
I've never played one either.
Yeah, so this will be my first one. I'm into it. There's not much to play for Nintendo this season, so this is gonna be the game. Besides Echoes of Wisdom, obviously, but
yeah.
I have no real thoughts on it other than I can't wait to see Concordia. It's gonna be crazy if Concordia has more NPCs than Concord had players.
Oh my gosh!
Oh my god!
The only problem with this is the release date is November 7th, and Dragon Quest HD 2D comes out in November also. I'm trying to see what exactly day. I don't remember the exact day, but it's also in November, so that's a big problem for me because I'm playing Dragon Quest over that game. But
same.
Yeah. But this game does look charming. I do like the vibe because I've never played the Mario Luigi games and I know people really like them, so it makes me want to give it a shot. But I don't know. I don't know with Nintendo stuff, like we're just at the fucking end. It's over, man. The Switch is dead, which we should have been in Switch 2 land by now, but I'm just waiting for Switch 2. Hopefully, I wonder if these games will get enhancements. I hope they do. If you just put them in the Switch 2, that'd be nice, but
no, I just saw this funny tweet where it said Sony PS5 Pro $700, Nintendo, and it just shows a picture of a steak sizzling in Mario Party Jamboree.
Yeah, Nintendo's just doing their own thing right now.
Yeah,
which is totally fine.
And the steak looks pretty good.
Yes, the steak looks good. Yeah, they're doing just fine.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's end the show with some questions from the audience, some write-ins. If you want to send a write-in to the show, we post a thread. When I'm in charge of the show right now, I post it on Sundays, every other Sunday, so keep an eye out for that. Put your submissions in over there on patreon.com/laststandmedia if you want to write in. All right. First one is from Kazden Risk. Hey, Brick Dumpers. Whoa. With Astrobot's amazing use of the DualSense controller, do you think Nintendo will need to step up their Joy-Con functionality for the Super Switch? The haptic feedback and adaptive triggers really elevate the gameplay in a way I think Nintendo should try to copy. Thoughts? Cheers and take care. Yeah, it kind of seems like they're fucking shitting all over Nintendo's HD Rumble right now and the Joy
For sure.
Cons.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I
Yeah.
agree up to a point. Because the DualSense batteries are still ass.
Yes, they are.
And if I'm going to choose between that and the Pro Controller lasting 40 hours, I would still choose the Switch Pro Controller lasting 40 hours. That said, if there is a solution where I love the audio, I know some people don't like it. I personally hate vibration, rumble feedback, but I do love the way it's implemented in Astrobot. And I do love the way the audio is implemented in Astrobot and also other games. Star Wars Outlaws does it really well too. Every time her gun needs to kind of refill the gas, the controller will just hiss, it will you know.
Interesting.
Just always feels really good every time, and then the trigger will lock, you know, when you have to reload. So that stuff feels pretty good and pretty fun.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I don't think it feels counter to the kind of joy that Nintendo is trying to create. I do think that, you know, part of Astrobot's large success is that they were able to replicate what many people feel like is almost impossible to replicate, and which was that Nintendo magic, that invisible color that Nintendo sees that nobody else does. You know.
Yeah, and it's not like Joy-Cons are any cheaper, I guess, than the DualSense. Because like a pair of Joy-Cons is $80. It's fucking crazy still. Holy
that's
shit.
Crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, the DualSense is also $80 too, and that's a much more reasonable.
Yeah,
price
I mean, those are expensive as fuck, regardless. But yeah, $80 for Joy-Cons is crazy.
But yeah, I agree though. Generally, I don't think anything Astrobot is doing is counter to what Nintendo is doing. Nintendo could look at that and be like, yeah, could be something we could learn or revisit.
What do you think, Micah? Do you think Nintendo needs to step up in this regard?
I don't really think they need to, only because I appreciate the features of the PlayStation controllers, right? Like I appreciate that when you're playing God of War and you throw the axe and it comes back and it like feels really cool.
Yeah.
But it's not a need for me. Like I like Gene, I'm typically playing with the Switch Pro controller, so it doesn't have even the same like level of like rumble as the Joy-Cons do. You know, like what everything they showed us with 1-2 Switch, for example, like 1-2 Switch basically being a tech demo for like, look at all the cool things these controllers can do. And then it just not really being utilized in the games other than 1-2 Switch. But it's not something I really need, aside from just the basic rumble that is, you know, satisfactory for playing like a shooter, for example. I just don't really need it. And even then, there are times when like I'd play Call of Duty and it's like, oh, your controller stops rumbling. It's like, whatever, you just play without it. Like it just doesn't really matter very much. It's really cool.
You should ask Colin to have you touch Astrobot for like a minute or so and see how that feels.
Because so you can get your hand blowjob.
Debauchery.
Yeah. Well, the controller, you need to feel the controller blowjob, Micah. But
yeah, I don't know about that, Gene. I think that's making me more
anti-PlayStation. To hand you the controller for literally like 30 seconds. Control like move Astrobot around for like 30 seconds and see how that feels. Because I guarantee you that whatever Astrobot is doing is way different than whatever Call of Duty or any other game is doing. Astrobot is singularly the only game that seems to be doing really interesting things with the
no, absolutely. I'm just saying, at a core level, even when I'm playing a shooter, for example, I don't care if it's rumbling. Like the controller can just be dead silent and I'm playing Call of Duty. I don't really care. I'm not the person who is the test mic market for, oh, the controller rumbles a lot more now. I know I'm like really oversimplifying it, but it's like, it's cool, but I don't need Nintendo to do that. Like you mentioned with the battery life, that's my primary focus. Mm-hmm. Battery life, how comfortable the controller is to hold, which is why, like, who the fuck uses the Joy-Con with the Joy-Con grip? Nobody. If you're playing Switch in TV mode, are you really plugging it into that tiny little Joy-Con grip? Even for me, someone with small hands, things too small, using the Pro controller. So it's just it's not my priority when I'm selecting a controller. For example, too, playing shooters, I don't really like that these features where like, oh, it's a little more difficult to press down the trigger, there's a little more resistance. I don't like that. I didn't like that feature in the first place. I don't really enjoy that level of engagement from a controller. I just want to press down the trigger and the bullets shoot out. I don't really want it to be more complicated than that. So I'm just the wrong person to be impressed by that, basically. Like, it's cool, but do I want Nintendo to do this in their games? No. I'm kind of over controllers doing anything else besides letting me walk around, basically. Like, that's all I wanted.
I agree with you 99%, Micah, but I really do think Astrobot does something different in that it does add gameplay value to it. It does make playing the game a lot more fun because you can feel like, for example, in Astrobot, in one of the wooded levels, once you beat the level, it's going to shower you with acorns, and 1,000 acorns are going to fall on you, and you can feel. Here's the Astrobot controller. You can feel the acorns like around the controller, and so it isn't just like a feedback or like, oh, I'm doing an action and the controller is vibrating. Like, it's helping you feel the world around the game. You know, if that makes sense.
I'll pelt you with acorns, Gene. You want to be pelted with acorns? I'll show up with a bucket of them right outside your apartment.
Well, I mean, the difference is that would be horrible in real life, but it's fun if it's doing it through the video game through the controller, and that's kind of where the magic of Astrobot is that it lets you do all these fun things. Like in ways that experience fun things in ways you never really thought it would. Again, I promise you, pick up Astrobot for 30 seconds while Colin is playing it, and just feel it. 30 seconds, no longer than that, you know. And see, and then report back and see how that feels.
I know. Well, did you hear what it did to his hand? So of course.
I know. At least take it out to dinner first, Gene. My God.
Well, I got 2 of these too, so you know.
You got 2. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh man.
3-way with those controllers. Jesus, Gene.
I don't want in each hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it feels like a stranger, you know.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. James Solar wrote in, "Hey, Brad, Micah, and Gene Park from the Washington Post. Lately, I've been replaying Metroid Prime 3 on my Wii U, and it's absolutely incredible. What are the chances that Nintendo actually brings Prime 2 and 3 to Switch before Prime 4 comes out? If they do, are you interested? If they don't, do you think it would affect the public interest in the game? Best, James S. P.S. Congrats on the success of the San Diego live show. It looks like everyone had a blast." All right. Prime 3. Coming to Switch, do we think it's happening? Or 2 and 3, sorry.
I hope so, but I hope it's like Twilight Princess and Wind Waker, just one of those you know games that they just have like ready in the chamber to release.
It needs to be a dual pack.
Yeah, definitely needs to be a dual pack. That doesn't need to be HD. I think both games look fine. Just make them 720p and just call it a day and then sell it as a dual pack and let it go. I don't think it's going to really impact the public interest in the game. I think Metroid already has a pretty narrow interest anyways, and anyone who wants to play Metroid is already tapped in. So,
the only thing about that, Gene, is I think on Switch it opened up a lot of people to franchises that they'd never played before. Like everything is just selling better on Switch than it ever did. I think even Metroid is. And I can see a lot of people who are just like, well, I liked Metroid 1, Prime 1, because they released it, or HD or whatever on Switch. Then they got to jump straight to 4, and they're going to feel like they were left out in the cold. And I know a lot of people, and I could see a lot of people, like, because if I was in this position, I'd be annoyed a lot.
I'd be annoyed, yeah. I want these games out. I'm very annoyed. I'm fucking annoyed that Xenoblade Chronicles X still isn't out on Switch, you know? So. Yeah.
It's just like when you have direct sequel, but you're missing 2 of the games on your platform, it's super weird.
That's like this is my least favorite thing about modern video games is that you can have a whole story of a video game series and you need to have like very different platforms to play it, you know?
Yeah.
I really wish that if you're going to continue a fucking video game series, you need to continue to elevate the back end of that series in perpetuity, you know? Yeah. You can't release Yakuza 9 and keep and expect people to not play Yakuza 1 through 8, you know?
Yeah.
You got to release all of them. forever. Meaning Yakuza 1 through 8 on PS6, you know?
Yeah.
Or,
what do you think, Micah?
or at least backwards compatible, at least.
Yeah, at least. Micah, what do you think? You think this is happening? And do you think it'll affect the public interest if the game, if they don't show up on Switch?
I agree with Gene that I think everyone who's excited about the new game is just excited regardless of if these are available on the current console. I do think it would be beneficial to bring them forward for other people. People like me, not me, because I'm not interested, but people like me who have never played it may say, oh, well, I can check this out on Switch. All right, let's give it a go. But they also may just be ready to jump in to the newest one. So would it have a great impact? I don't know. But I do think this, in terms of like goodwill towards your consumers, it would be excellent to have it, like you said, Brad, on a double pack on Switch. It just seems like an easy cash grab regardless, even for people who've already played the games who just would want it. But do I think it would affect like the public perception a lot? I don't know. It's really, this is because the newest one, you guys have been waiting years for this.
Yeah.
Years. So there's nobody who hasn't heard of this. Even myself, who's not interested in the series, knows that you guys have all been waiting for it, clamoring for it. So I don't really think you need to raise interest more for the next game. But it maybe would get some more straggling people who haven't played before to give it a go. But I don't know. I'd like to think they would do it just because I completely agree that it's important to bring older games forward, make them easier to access. That's just a big thing to me. Like Gene said, with Xenoblade Chronicles X being trapped on Wii U, for example, it is just a shame when you look at, I'm a new Xenoblade Chronicles fan. I have access to the game because someone, actually James, very generously gifted it to me. But otherwise, that game would not be available to me to play. So I just like to see games more accessible in these newer hardware. That's the reason I'd want to see it brought forward.
Nice. All right. This is from Dong Schnutz. What's clapping, all you brick ward fisting tentacles? As someone who has played all the Nintendo consoles since the NES, I really miss when Nintendo games could really awe you with the hardware as well as the software. Mario is always good, but Astrobot really shows what Nintendo could be doing if the Switch wasn't weaker than the iPhones that can now play Resident Evil 4 and Death Stranding. Would you like to see Nintendo's hardware, or would you like to see Nintendo hardware that finally lets them hang with their peers again, or at least close to it? P.S. Shout out to Gene for being one of the only OSM crewmates who doesn't blindly hate Sonic the Hedgehog. Keep repping, son. Spread the gospel. Let me be clear here. I don't blindly hate Sonic. He's earned it. All right. So stand down. But I like Sonic games.
Yeah.
They're just not like, I like Frontiers, but they're not like incredible games by any means nowadays.
Yeah,
Gene?
I like Frontiers a lot, but it definitely doesn't hold a candle to Astrobot.
Yeah, not even close.
Yeah.
Would you like to see powerful Nintendo hardware again?
I think that's kind of the tragedy of Astrobot is that, oh man, like nobody but Nintendo makes games like this, but Nintendo is the only company that doesn't have high fidelity. And here comes Team Asobi finally making a game like this in high fidelity, and it's like, oh man, we mean other people could have been making games like this the whole time and they haven't.
Yeah.
And so it's just been Nintendo this whole time. And then so with this level of fidelity, and again, like the 1,000 acorns, I can't stress enough how impressive those 1,000 acorns actually feel and look. It does make a difference in terms of how fun this game actually feels and looks to play. And it does make you, obviously, I've been praising the fact that Nintendo has been keeping their costs low, and that's been very, very good for their business. On the other hand, the Astrobot does make me mourn an industry where high definition seems to prioritize realism and pores and skin versus the realism in physics, because Astrobot is still a very realistic game. It's just realistic in how the world moves as opposed to how it looks like, so that's kind of where I feel like the opportunity with Nintendo has been lost. And as for Nintendo, yeah, I mean, playing Astrobot does make me think about when Nintendo's hardware and software were in perfect synergy. And PlayStation 5 games don't have that either, you know? It's only been Returnal and Astrobot. And those are the only two games that have really made use of the hardware in unique ways, in the same ways that we felt when we played Wii Sports, and we're like, oh man, the synergy of hardware and tech, and the thing I'm holding in my hand, and what's happening on the screen, like all of that's working together magically to create this really fun, cool moment in my life right now, you know. And we haven't really had that up until Astrobot, you know.
Yeah. Michael, what do you think? Do you want powerful Nintendo hardware, or are you just fine with how things are?
Oh, I absolutely want the console to be a bit more competitive. It's the thing that stands out to me, for example, is the third-party games that either just struggle a bit, as we saw like with the Batman Arkham Collection, like this is just a poor way to play the game. A recent example specifically to me was that I really wanted to play Kingdom Come Deliverance, saw that it was on Switch, asked our community, went on like forums. It's not the place to play it. It
Right.
crashes too often. You'll lose 2 hours of your gameplay. Like things like that are just rampant in this version of the game. Still not fixed as of the last time I checked. And it's just like, that's not the way to play it. It's not the way to enjoy this game as it should be played. For me, that means I'm probably just not going to play it because it's just hard for me to find time to play something except on handheld. But it's just a disappointment when these games are available, but you know it's probably a waste of money. It's not the ideal way to play it, and it does keep me away from it because I don't want to be frustrated by the game crashing, for example. I don't want to deal with that. So I don't need Nintendo to be 100% equal to their competitors, but like it's okay if they're one step behind. Right now, it feels like they're 5 steps behind. And that's just like the gap is just getting further and further apart because we've waited so long for Switch 2 to come out. They're making these ports and it's almost not worth it because I'm not going to buy it. I am going to read the reviews first. I read several in-depth discussions about Kingdom Come Deliverance specifically. And because at first it's like, is it tolerable? Is it things like the frame rate drops down real low and can I tolerate that? But then it's seeing things like the game just crashes frequently. That's inexcusable to me. That's not a working game. So I need Nintendo to be more competitive for sure in regards to the hardware. They don't need to be as powerful as PlayStation 6. I don't need that from them, but they do need to not feel like these ports are almost almost dangerous to buy. You know, it's bad for the consumer to not feel confident in buying games that are released for the console. It's bad for the consumer that I have to do so much research to know if this game's going to be a good experience to play. I should be able to pick up a game that has the Switch logo on it and it should be perfectly fine to play. I shouldn't have to do all this research and dive into Reddit forums and seeing like any updates yet. You know, has there been a patch yet? And I'm checking this every few weeks because I still want to play the game, but I'm just waiting to see if they patch it, if they fix it, if it's possible. Really waiting for Switch 2 to see if it's put on that console instead and if it's playable there. But that's where I need to see the power. Honestly, like the first party games that we've gotten are great. And I don't really see too many issues with those, but third party is where the slowness of the Switch is really highlighted. And that's where I want to see more value for the consumer. I'm very lucky that I do have an Xbox in the house and I do have a PlayStation in the house. So when there are games I really want to play and they either aren't on Switch or it's not the best place to play it, I do have options. But it would be the best value for the consumer if they really can play everything that's available on Switch and it's perfectly optimized for the Switch. That's what I'd like to see.
Nice. Yeah, I would love to see powerful hardware from them again. Like, I would love to see Zelda, high fidelity, and all that kind of stuff. But I think it'd be smart. Ideally, they would have like a console or whatever that's very high performance, but also have their handheld that can play those same games, just at lower specs, like a Steam Deck or something like that. That would be the ideal situation for me. But alas, that'll never happen. It's going to be probably the Switch model for the foreseeable future because it just works so damn well. But that's okay. Switch is great, but I don't play third-party stuff on it really at all because, like Micah was saying, usually the worst version of the game. But it's cool if you want to play on the go, but I don't really play games on the go that much, so it's not for me. All right. Let's see.
Oh yeah, I'm playing Marvel vs. Capcom 2 or the Capcom 5.
Where am I going to play it? If
I'm playing it on the Switch.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Like older games like that, like old arcade ports, yeah, totally fine on Switch.
Yeah.
Like if I'm going to play that though, I'll probably play on PC or PlayStation just because I want higher resolution and everything like that.
Oh yeah, sorry. I'm just mentioning that I'm playing Capcom Fighting Collection. I'm not saying like you can play it on the Switch. Like, no, I'm just mentioning that I'm playing it on the Switch. But yeah,
hell yeah, dude.
Yeah,
I can't wait to play those.
I think it's crazy that Capcom is choosing the Nintendo Directs as the platform for these megaton announcements. They're just like, I don't know. I wonder what's the calculation in that, or how that comes about.
Yeah, I wonder what the sales are for that. If they're the highest on Switch or something. I don't know.
Or if they just thought that the announcement would just be a bigger splash on Nintendo's Direct versus the PlayStation one, you know?
Yeah. Because the last Sony thing was in June, right? So it's been a while. But I guess that's when they announced it.
Yeah, but that's when they announced. Yeah, that's when they announced Marvel vs. Capcom, and they just chose Nintendo instead.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Well, it's like they save Resident Evil and stuff for PlayStation usually.
Obviously, and Monster Hunter Rise.
Yeah, Monster Hunter Rise,
the Monster Hunter Wilds.
Yeah, but that won't be on Switch anyway, so whatever.
It'll be on Switch
this
for sure.
Yeah. This is Jeremy Tan, or writing from Jeremy Tan. Hey guys, it's been said on LSM shows that and elsewhere that Nintendo games often appear to get the Nintendo bump, where they receive a more favorable score from critics when being reviewed. The game most often cited for this was Super Mario Odyssey. With Astrobot coming out this weekend to universal acclaim and a whopping 94 Metacritic score, has the Nintendo bump theory finally been dismantled? Or is there now possibly a PlayStation bump in play as well? Or are critics just craving creative, polished 3D platformers in an underserved genre? Please discuss. Love you all do, and sending extra love to Dustin and Holly. Jeremy. All right,
there's no Nintendo bump. There's no Nintendo bump at all.
Yeah.
Look at the reviews for Princess Peach. Come on. That didn't receive any kind of bump at all. It just received average scores, you know?
Yeah, I think if people are speculating about the bump, it's like Mario games or Zelda games like that.
But that's because the Mario and Zelda games deserve those scores.
They're usually fucking incredible.
Nintendo bump. It's because those games are good enough to get those scores. So there is no PlayStation bump, although obviously Xbox fans will probably claim that. And maybe there is a Sony bias because there's a clear bias in the games critic space for these cinematic games. You know, at least among some critic circles. But there's no Astrobot bump either. It's the last point. Critics are just craving a creative, polished 3D platformer in an underserved genre. We just haven't had a game like this, you know. So I've seen a lot of people saying, "How could a platformer get 10s across the board?" And I don't think people understand that platformers are one of the few genres that can get 10s across the board. The platformer is the original prestige, the video game genre, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
People forget that.
I think games can get 10s in whatever category they are. It's just how well they are at executing what they set out to do.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like the whole bump thing, I guess, it's kind of like people just use it for like fanboy wars mostly and stuff like that. And it's like the reviewer is going to have a preference about what kind of games they like. And that's just the way it is. And everyone has like a slight bias to something, I guess. So, but you just know what it is.
Yeah,
they're just human. It's just an opinion or whatever. Like reminds me of the Xbox tax and all that shit when people were saying that for a while. It's like same fucking thing.
People still say Xbox tax. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think though, Micah? Do you think some reviewers have a Nintendo bias?
I don't really think so. I think the people complaining about this, generally speaking, like you said, it's fanboyish. It's sour grapes all around.
Yeah,
It's you don't have this game available on your console, so you're saying it's just not very good.
right.
And I also, Brad, you bring up a really important point about reviewing games is you wouldn't want to give, a fighting game review to a guy who has never played one or doesn't like them. All right? You wouldn't want to give the Zelda review to me. It's like you want to give this review not to someone who will necessarily be biased. You still want them to have an objective opinion on pros and cons, but you don't want to give that game review to someone who hates it, doesn't like it, or it just doesn't care about those types of games. It
Sure.
is important to, if you're IGN, are you going to give the Zelda review, one of the biggest reviews of the whole year, you're going to give it to the guy who doesn't like Zelda? Like, that just doesn't make sense. You want someone who does care about the series. You want them to be unbiased and still give their cons, certainly if there are any. But this is also just truth in, the smart way to review games is not to give me your fighting games, because I don't know dick about fighting games and I should not be critiquing them. And
Hmm.
that's, people will say that's like bias in some way. But
Mhm.
if you want an actual detailed review of someone who really knows the genre, really knows what the game should be, how it should feel, what's wrong with it or what's right with it, then it has to be someone who knows those games and loves those games. And that's an important distinction of,
Mhm.
this isn't just necessarily bias, it's just giving the game to someone who will appreciate what it is and be able to speak with knowledge about what's wrong with it, if anything.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like I like some of the opinions from people who are kind of on the outside of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like like you give the like someone I would like to see a review on someone who's like never played a certain type of game before, maybe. Like whatever, Echoes of Wisdom, someone reviews it, they've never played a Zelda game. I'd be interested to hear their thoughts on it, but it's like you're gonna have cons doing that also because they might not just understand a lot of the stuff that's right in front of them. They just
Mhm.
don't get it or something like that. So it's a dicey thing. It's definitely something you have to think about as a reviewer.
I think it
And
makes. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, well, there's so many reviewers out there. My advice to you would be, if anyone out there is, just find a reviewer that kind of aligns with your tastes. That's probably the best way to go about it, because
For
you're
sure.
gonna get a bunch of different opinions. So try to find someone that you resonate with. But go
Yeah.
ahead, Gene. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, what you guys talk about is kind of what makes video games so unique as an art form compared to like a book or a movie, because you can just show a book or a movie to anybody and they can have an opinion on it, right? Because they're just looking at it, right? Whereas a video game, you kind of need to know how to play it, you know? I can't, giving Marvel vs. Capcom 2 to Micah, who has no familiarity with fighting games, who has no familiarity with the history, the rich history of that game in general, is difficult, you know? Like, Micah, do you know how to play a fighting game? Do you know how to throw a fireball?
Oh, Christ. No, I'm terrible at fighting games. I have tried to love them because I love watching tournaments. I
Hmm.
have tried, but
Hmm.
I can't get, these hands were meant for grilling and they do not do combos. They cannot learn how to do combos. I cannot do it.
Yeah, so that's kind of like where I'm always like, video games aren't cars. We can't just critique video games like cars. But in a way, video games are like cars. Whereas, as in, you're not going to give a car review to someone who doesn't know how to drive. You know,
Right.
oh, this car doesn't handle well. Well, how the fuck do you know? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So there is a fine balance that you gotta have, right?
Hmm.
And that's gonna be, because yeah, I'm with you, Brad, and I think there's a lot of value in having an outsider's point of view, but at the same time, yeah, you need expertise.
Yeah, you need expertise.
So.
Definitely.
Yeah. And this is also too where stop relying on reviews to be like the be all end all of everything. I check
Right.
game reviews to make sure a game is not broken. I check game reviews to make sure that I'm not buying something that will not play right. Like I'm looking to make sure the game isn't a 3. If like the difference between, like, let's say Gene, if he gives a game a 3 or a 4, I'm going to be like, sweet, quality experience, then I know that it's going to be a game that's worth my time. but I'm not looking to Gene's review as like the gospel and I only play it if Gene gave it a 4. It's like I just want to make sure that the game works and that
Right.
it's not going to be a complete waste of $60. I think people still just put way too much stock in game reviews, like just the score itself. Like read everything that they wrote if you have the time and actually see why they gave it that score. Watch the
Yeah.
whole IGN video or whatever. But it really is like, dude, these scores at the end of the day, you might absolutely love a game that they gave, a 6.5 to. It might be your favorite fucking game of the year. And IGN was like, not into it. It's just one of those things of like what the reason why you check the reviews matters too. If you're using them like me just to make sure a game isn't completely janky, you're going to have a better time than if you put like the entire stock of whether or not a game is good on whether or not IGN gave it an 8 or a 9 or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The context behind the review of the words actually are very important, not just the number. So remember that. All right. This final question is from John B. Hello, Shroomheads. I hope you are all doing well. With LEGO Horizons approaching quickly on the Switch, it is a sign of Sony bringing other games to the console and its soon-to-be revealed successor? What games in particular do you think would migrate over to appeal to the Nintendo fan base? This is the perfect opportunity to give Japan studios a second wind. Gravity Rush, Ape Escape, Loco Roco, Patapon, Tokyo Jungle, and Eco Games, among others, are waiting to be revived. What say you? Love the content y'all do. Much love to the Furmans. Well, John B., I'll hate to say this to you. You're never getting Sony Japan games on Switch. None of those games are ever coming to Switch. Ever. Sadly, because those games are sick. But I don't think you'll even get new versions of those games on Sony platforms. Japan Studio's dead. They're moving on. Might get a port, I guess, but no new games probably from those. But Lego Horizons is coming over, so it does open up the possibility for more games in the future. What games do you think would they put on Switch if they do? Actually, the show's on Switch as well. Sorry, or I think it is the baseball game, but that's on everything as well. But what's coming to Switch in the future from PlayStation?
Man, that's a dream. Those would be dream ports to have
Yeah.
Loco Roco on the Switch. Oh my god. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about the likelihood of any of that stuff. I don't know what I honestly don't know what Sony is thinking with their IP at the moment. Other than that I've been surmising, and this is just me analyzing things from afar. But I think Sony does want to, and I've said this many times before on my Twitter. But I think Sony does want to enter the family-friendly entertainment space, and I think that would be smart of them to do. And I think that is what a lot of places want to do, because ultimately the world is pretty conservative, and they do want things to be family-friendly, and that is probably the best way to become a multi-generational entertainment company. So that's why I think that they're pushing Horizon so much, because they look at Horizon and saying, "Oh, Aloy is the closest thing to us having a Disney princess on our side." So that's what we're going to keep pushing.
They've tried family friendly stuff in the past for like they just don't usually do super well. I'm looking at you, Knack 1 and 2.
Yeah, I think it sucks, and they tried that with Ratchet and Clank too. And reminder, Ratchet and Clank had a full movie starring Bella Thorne for some reason. Okay, but Sony has been fumbling the family-friendly stuff. They don't know how to do it. Their games have been bad. Ratchet and Clank started to become edgy before they kind of reeled that back into being back to family-friendly. But there was a whole edgy period for Ratchet and Clank for a while, so they've been screwing in that regard. So yeah, bringing something like Ape Escape would be amazing. Especially considering Astrobot's popularity. So I'm wondering what Astrobot is going to look like. What the impact of Astrobot will be, how the sales will be, how the popularity. I've seen a lot of like fan art of Astrobot everywhere. So there seems to be a lot of exposure, and there might be a lot of exposure to a lot of past Sony IP.
Yeah,
will it have the Smash Brothers effect of that Smash had for example, Fire Emblem? Who knows? I don't know, but But if those games are coming, it's a long ways away. I think
Yeah,
we won't be having anytime soon.
like I guess Astrobot could show up on Nintendo. I don't see why not. Maybe not
Yeah,
this Astrobot game, but maybe a different one down the line or something.
yeah,
But maybe they'll just keep it really small, really very limited. It might not be full slate necessarily,
yeah.
or even all family games. It could just be very rare instances where they think it makes sense. Like the Lego games, that makes a lot of sense to me, putting that on
Mhm.
Switch. So I totally get that.
Yeah.
What,
Well,
Micah, what do you think though? What do you think? What
we're not gonna
games?
get Lego Concord though. So
Yeah, so-
there's no Lego Lennox coming.
ugh.
You know.
What do you think, Micah? What about what about PlayStation games coming to Nintendo? What do you think they would put on there?
Honestly, not a lot. I just don't see them doing this the same way that's like Microsoft wanting to bring their games to other consoles. I don't really see PlayStation doing this outside of bringing, the few games to PC. I do think there will be more Lego games. I could totally see them doing like Lego God of War, for
Yeah.
example. You could absolutely have Kratos knocking stuff around and like you can make it appropriate. You could dumb it down. Because you look at something like Lego Batman, for example, and like the Batman movies are like horribly violent. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of terrible shit goes down in those comics as well. They made it cute and family friendly, cartoon violence. I
Mhm.
think you could do more things like that, and I could see them doing more things like that. And it's under the Lego umbrella, so it makes sense to have it on more consoles because, well, it's a Lego game, and those games have always been on everything. But I don't really see them bringing like Parappa the Rapper to Switch, right? I don't really see them
Praise.
bringing Ratchet and Clank to Switch because I just don't think it's what they want to do. I think they do want to entice people over to their platform, especially when you see a price like they dropped for the Pro, as we mentioned earlier. Like they want you over here. They need to have the value here to justify you buying this. So
Mike, I'm glad you brought that up. That's a really interesting point. I do think that fucking price point does show that PlayStation wants you in the console first. You know. Yeah.
yeah, so aside from, I think they might get more creative with some of these tie-in games like Lego, but I don't see them bringing more of their titles over to other consoles yet. I think they'd have to be in trouble like Microsoft to do something like that. And I don't think we are anywhere near PlayStation being in the dire straits needed to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely not in the dire straits to do that necessarily right now. I mean, it would be interesting if they brought back some older games to it, like Sly or whatever would make sense to me, but
Oh, Sly would be so good on a Switch.
yeah,
Oh
I
my
just don't
god,
know if that'll even happen,
dude.
or even if like they put like their PS2 ports on there, like this writing was saying from Zombie. But I don't know if that's gonna happen. You never know though. Anything could happen. Video games
I
are
I
unpredictable.
prefer if they just bring them back on the modern platforms at least too. You know. I mean,
Yeah, well,
I
like
do have Gravity Rush on PS4, but yeah, you know.
yeah, like what if they just the Slide PS2 version came out or the Slide Classic came out and they
Mhm.
just decided to put that on Switch as well or something. I don't know.
Mhm.
Something like that could happen, I guess, but it
Sure.
doesn't seem likely right now. But you never know. I never thought I'd see a Horizon game on Nintendo. So
That's also
times are
weird too.
changing.
Yeah, that's weird.
Times are changing.
Hmm.
But yeah, I like your idea, Mike, of just them just making a bunch of Lego games on all their IPs if this one does well.
Oh, dude, Lego Last of Us? Okay,
Yeah, I was
just
thinking about
picture it.
that. The golf
Just
club scene,
picture
dude.
it.
Oh my god, in Lego form. Holy shit.
I'm just picturing like panicked Lego faces, because
Yeah,
I love the Lego games and the animations for them are so cute. But
so
yeah, I'm
good.
just picturing like Ellie's like panicked Lego face would be fantastic.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. All right, that's it for this episode of Punching Up. Thank you, everybody, for listening or watching. We appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for chatting or hanging around with us. Micah, Gene, anything you guys want to say before we go? Or should we just get out of here?
I got a date with some leftover pasta that I'm very
Nice.
excited about.
Very cool. Gene, anything from you? Or are you good?
No, nothing much.
Oh,
Hopefully.
check out Gene's review for Astrobot. Washington
Oh yeah,
Post.
yeah.
You can
Washington
see.
Post. I interview Nicholas Doucet,
Mhm.
Sebastian Bruckner, and Jamie Smith, the director, animation director, and or art director and animation director And we talk a lot about what makes Astrobot special. We don't even talk about like the production things. We talk about childhood and drawing superheroes as a kid, and how cool it is that the fact that he was able to draw superheroes and now he can control the character in the game, and you can feel the character in the game. And we kind of talk about how that Astrobot VR game. Part of why Astrobot VR Rescue Mission felt so amazing was that it reimagined the VR headset and your head as a camera, and it places your body inside the game world. And if it's like you're controlling Astrobot around you, and you are like the god controlling it. And Astrobot does this weird thing where it connects you. It feels like you're reaching into the PS5, or you're reaching into the controller or into the screen to do that. So they're really trying to push this again, that what I was talking earlier about, that earlier feeling of hardware and art and feeling and fun all fusing into one cool sensation that we rarely get these days. So yeah, check it out.
Yeah, check it out, everybody. All right, until next episode, take care, everybody. Goodbye. Keep punching those bricks.
Punching Up, a Nintendo podcast, is a product of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC, and is proudly recorded in the USA. The show is written and produced by me, Dustin Furman. My co-hosts are Gene Park, Dagan Moriarty, and Micah Watson. The show is edited by associate producer Ben Smith. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. Punching Up, along with the rest of Last Stand Media shows, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer level on Patreon, our highest tier, and we're grateful for your kind contributions and generosity to our independent endeavor. Thank you.